Hello and welcome to the Call of War finale. Not the finale of Call of War. How would you like?
The Speed Royale finale.
The Speed.
Our very first Hyperspeed tournament.
Yes. So, would you like to give us the rundown of what we can expect today?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, this is not your average Call of War game that we're going to see. This is going to be played at 144x speed. So, this is going to be quite fast. You'll most likely see planes zooming at speeds that should not be legal, but it's going to happen anyways. And what this means is that the map is going to finish relatively quickly, which allows us some fun little opportunities to play tournaments on them, because we can just really finish maps much quicker than usual, and this lets us also stream them. That's why we're here today. And I hope we can take you along the roller coaster ride. And with us today, we have also from the community, Akila, to help us commentate all of this.
Yeah, hi, happy to be here. It's my first time doing a commentary like this. Played some of these rounds before, but first time now just observing them. And I'm excited for a very interesting and hopefully intense finals game here.
Yeah, and we're really happy to have you because you've already played a couple of these maps yourself, so you have some first-hand experience. How intense these games can get in terms of speed and gameplay intensity. So this is going to be really good. And yeah, the tournament itself, the Speed Royale, it has been running for a month now. We had 128 teams sign up in total, 400 players, and now we're down to the final 4 teams with like 12 players on the map, and they are gonna duke it out for the title. And actually, with that being said, let me quickly get the map started.
Yes, and actually, let's go ahead and switch over to that view. I just realized that we're already having a hiccup with the secondary showing the wrong monitor. Oh, goodness. Okay, there we go.
Small hiccups to be expected.
I was going to say, it always happens every stream. So let's go ahead and let's take a scroll around. Once again, we are pretty much doing the small Baji method of appearing in a small, unimportant nation as an observer. We're up here in Iceland, and we'll be able to zoom around and zoom in on players and battles as they happen, which should give us a very nice view. And for those wondering about how can we make sure that players won't go ahead and use this as a way to see what their enemies are doing, that is why we have the stream on a small delay.
Exactly, yeah. There's not going to be any looking and seeing things that the competitors shouldn't be seeing. Maybe to explain the format a little bit, so this is 3 versus 3 versus 3 versus 3. So we have 4 teams, 3 players each. That's a little bit complicated. They're going to be spread out all around the map, and up until now, the teams actually don't know the starting positions of the other teams. So they all picked some teams, and they picked their countries ahead of time, but they don't know where the other players are going to be playing and which country specifically. So there's a little bit of a blind factor involved here. And we're going to see when the coalitions are all set up, we're going to see in the game as well where the starting positions of the players are, because those are obviously quite important.
Yes.
And then with that, I'm going to set the map to live, and we can kick this off.
Excellent. Would you like to take pan duty, or should I go ahead and pan around?
You can pan around a little bit for now.
Excellent. Sounds good. One more thing to test, just so I can make sure nothing spontaneously broke and went live. Akila, can you say something on your end?
Yep, I'm still here.
Perfect.
So I would require some more access to the map. I think not everyone has given me shared map just yet.
I'll remind the competitors to actually give us that.
Yep.
Using.
I was going to say, you're coming in loud and clear on our end.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, I'm really excited for this. And also, I'm really happy to be doing this event here this week because this time next week, well, not this time next week, but like this time plus like 3 days next week, I'm actually going to be in Boston in the U.S. for PAX. I'll actually be speaking this year. So if you're in Boston during that time, feel free to say hi. I'll be speaking at the con. Let's see, what is it? Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning.
That's exciting.
Yes. So if you see me, come say hi.
I do think we have quite a lot of Call of War players in America, so maybe you'll actually get lucky and find a couple of people from our community here.
Yes.
And yeah, so the map started now. So as we can see in the day change timer at the bottom of the screen, it's 10 minutes to the next day. So one day is 10 minutes. It is quite fast. And all of the teams are going to start setting up the map now. There's a peace period of 3 days in this game. So the teams have plenty of time to actually get accustomed, to get settled in to the map and to set up everything. Because at these speeds, if you have very short peace periods, it's quite complicated to get all of your units set up before the actual fighting starts. And we will see in 28 minutes just how intense the fighting can get, yeah.
As with the last speed streams we've done, pretty much once the fighting begins, there's going to be about an hour of fighting in real time at a time. And then afterwards, there will be a 5-minute break between each interval. And I guess we're just going to keep going until there's the last team standing.
Yeah, exactly. So we play to normal victory conditions. So the players play for the victory points, and they need to conquer roughly half the map to win the game or the map itself. So either that, or if we reach the, I think it's 36 days is the limit for the map. But usually these maps do end out a little bit quicker, especially on tournaments, because people are really good at winning these maps. So we are talking about quite competitive players here, so they do know how to finish out maps. So we should see that today, that we will not go to the full 36 days of the map.
Yes. Before we go on, I'm going to go ahead and... Oh,
sorry, my bad.
No, it's all good. I'm going to go ahead and actually just share the stream as well with some of our colleagues. I'm very happy to see all 130 of y'all watching right now on YouTube, and the additional several dozen of you on Twitch. That is really wonderful to see. One other thing I should mention as well is that positive or negative, we always love hearing your thoughts about the game. So if you're posting like any thoughts on the game itself in the chat, I promise we see you, and we do try our best to listen as much as we can.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll also be trying to read chat a little bit, also my chat. If anyone has any questions, I do have some spare time every now and then.
And yeah, this is like also considering the level of play that we're going to see here today. I feel like this might be the probably one of the most competitive games in Call of War that will have ever been streamed.
Yes.
So if you do actually want to learn a little bit about the game and you have questions about the game, feel free to just put them in the chat, because I'm pretty sure we have a lot of knowledgeable people not only playing here, but also watching in the chat that can answer your questions. If you've ever wanted to know like a really specific thing about Call of War, please put that in there. This is like one of the best opportunities to do so. And maybe with this being said, we can have a look at the map. So the way the tournament rules work is that because obviously there's space for 20 players on this map, but we only have 12 competitors. The organizers decided to give them specific countries to pick, so we can kind of control a little bit how the game goes and what the starting positions are, and it adds a layer of strategy to when the players pick their countries. So what we can do now maybe is just check out the coalitions in the progress scene, and we can see which countries are actually allied and we can maybe like talk a little bit about the starting positions and who we think is in an advantageous position from the start here. So we can see here Spain, France, and Germany are allied. So we already have a very strong axis here in the middle of the map. So they are basically dominating the center. And then if I had to take a guess, we're also going to see the same in the east. Yeah, exactly. So the next team is playing in Finland, Russia, and Ukraine. So another clumped up little team on the eastern side of the map. And then I would assume that Africa is exactly the same. Let me check. Exactly. So we have the next three team is down in Africa. So the map actually itself kind of nicely divides itself here in mainland Europe. And then the final team, they do occupy the American continent, which might be a good starting point that we can talk about because it's very isolated and it gives them opportunities to grow away from the other teams, maybe to gain some strength first before they cross the ocean and go on the offensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at America, I think they have a very safe position. Same actually counts for Russia and Finland and Ukraine. They're also very far away from anyone else. Poland in between as a little divider. But I think the Americans are really the wild card here. They're going to be able to just save their time, save their resources, and come over whenever they feel like they want to as a big invasion fleet, and they can just attack Morocco and Spain, France, whenever they feel like it, when they're at war maybe. I can see Morocco and Spain clashing pretty early on, and this could be their way into like a little bridgehead in Europe.
No, I really much agree. The one thing I'm also going to be keeping my eye on is especially the alliance in the east, especially up towards Finland, because I feel like that's a position that's very, how do I put it? It can be very make or break for them.
Yeah. So yeah, in these maps usually also these Russia and Ukraine, this eastern portion of the map, it covers a huge territory already, but you have your back to the edge of the map, so people can't actually like pincer you as effectively in this corner of the map. So definitely a strong starting position, and especially now with this much of a buffer region. As I said before, the teams went somewhat blind into this in terms of the map positions. So strategizing for them is kind of difficult. What I'm interested to see is how do the teams on the mainland continent, how do they deal with all of this buffer zone that they now have to cross to actually fight each other? Because obviously this is territory that has to be taken before you even can think about interacting with the other players. But they weren't able to make any plans for this ahead. So they need to think on their feet here, and at 144 speed, that's quite difficult.
Already just from the chat, someone's asking, so why isn't the 144x speed mode available to normal players? And I think I just say that's something that we talk about a lot, actually. And it always just comes down to without going into it, should I just say technical side?
Yeah, technical side is the best way to put it. This is simply, it's an experimental game mode for us that we can set up for these events, but to have a lot of maps running at the speed at the same time would be complicated on the technical side. Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
The want is there, though.
The want is there. These maps are really, really cool. And I mean, always keep your eyes out. We do host these events from time to time, and maybe you can actually at some point also join one of these maps. We try to regularly do these maps, and maybe you can be one of the lucky few who actually snags a spot to play on these. Or just go through a tournament of 128 teams and qualify yourself for the finals. Obviously, this is always an option. Maybe not the easiest path.
Now, looking at the map, I think you can already see the first little pieces of action coming in. For one, Spain is evacuating their possessions in Morocco, but also we can see the southern US moving in towards Western Sahara. So they're going to probably try to fight Morocco for that. So that might be their way in if they can manage that. There's already cruisers there. That's going to be quite the early war there. We're already at day 2 now. So soon they will probably start fighting there, and Morocco will take out Spain, at least their little areas, and the Americans will try to move over already.
Yeah, and I think that's actually quite important. So this is a nice little bit of strategy from the team on the American continent going this early over to the mainland. Maybe a bit of an unexpected move, and as we can see where they are attacking. Right, this is Western Sahara. It's an NPC-controlled nation at the moment. This is not player-controlled, and with the peace period for the AI-controlled territories running out right now, they can immediately grab some territories, like get a beachhead, get established, and then use all of these resources that they gather on the American continent, far away from everyone else, to bring them to bear on the African continent.
Absolutely. I can see this being a pretty big issue actually for Morocco and Algeria, since they can't really move into anywhere else. They can only take Tunisia, realistically, and some Spanish possessions, but they don't have the Americans just right there, and they are themselves very safe. They can send everything, so this will be a pretty big problem for them, since they can't stop it right now.
Yeah, and this also puts a lot of strain on them. So something that we can see on tournament maps very often is that the Strait of Gibraltar is kind of a flashpoint. Where teams have to invest a lot of resources to overcome this choke point, because it's obviously quite narrow, and it's the only point of contact where you can quickly cross over from Africa onto Europe and vice versa. So now for Morocco and Algeria, this is kind of complicated, because ideally they would want to invest resources into controlling the Strait of Gibraltar, but they have this thorn in their side now, coming all the way from across the ocean in Western Sahara, that's going to be constantly bothering them in the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also from chat, another very good question I know is in some folks' minds. Why are there only 2 nations on this side, but 3 in Africa and in the East?
Yeah, this has to do with what happened in the semifinals. So to give a quick breakdown, obviously we have 4 teams here on this map in the grand final. So we played 4 semifinals. Each winner of those 4 semifinal maps qualified for the grand final. And during the semifinals, there were some tournament rulings due to some rule breaking that happened. And one of the players from the team in North America, or in America, got disqualified. So they only play with the 2 players. This is a penalty that's basically carrying over from the semifinals according to the tournament rules. So maybe good for them that they snagged the America starting position, because it gives them a stronger starting position, because they're already starting at a disadvantage.
Wow, and already.
Yeah, Italy is getting invaded.
Just hardcore.
Some very fast moves. Also, Morocco made it into Lisbon in Portugal. Spain has not managed to take that, so already a few problems coming in for the first players here, while others are moving very fast. This is definitely going to be very deciding moments now. The first day is already lots of stuff to do, and if you just fall behind here already, it's so difficult to catch up again with how fast everything is and with how good everyone also is here. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing. People are in here to win it, and so the moments right now, the movements right now, are really defining for the rest of the match.
And already as well, we can even see the Russians moving west, already conquering parts of Lithuania and Latvia.
Oh yeah, wow, that's moving very fast. Poland already almost fallen entirely. Obviously, Crimea managed to break through the Ukrainian front line a little bit there. It's an unfortunate move, and that hurts a little bit to see. But they're making excellent progress, so everyone is already very active. I think America so far really got a very good start here. They managed to take cities in Western Sahara. I know they can move on. Morocco cannot stop them, so this is a very, very important step for them. They've already managed to take that. I wasn't expecting it this early, and they've used that very well.
And also maybe to talk about the center of the map a little bit, with Germany, France, Spain. I feel like those are the 3 nations, or that's the team that's going to be very pivotal here, because they are at the center of all of it, and they are kind of under attack from all the other teams at the same time, and they are still making very aggressive moves out east towards Russia, towards Ukraine here, which I think is interesting, because they say these guys are going to be a problem if we don't deal with them right now. So they are already seeking out the conflict out east, despite being quite heavily pressured down south and in the west.
Yeah, absolutely. This might be a very interesting strategy. They might be able to actually pull this off if they can move fast enough. The risk is high, since Italy already has basically fallen to Algeria. So they're losing potential provinces very quickly. But if they manage to use their resources well, if they use their allied strength combined against the East, then they can probably make that work. But it is very risky, at least for them. The Americans haven't made it to them yet, so that's a good start. But they'll have to fight very strong for that. It's a very risky position. Attacks from every side, difficult to deal with.
Yeah. And then, Aquila, you've already played 144 a little bit. I think both in Call of War and also in Supremacy, right? So you
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah. So you know it from both games. That's good. I think one thing that we're going to see, maybe talking a little bit about units here, what we can expect. One thing that's really powerful and something that we were already able to observe during the semifinals are planes. So planes it's the Millennium Falcon going at light speed across the map when we're playing at these game speeds. And they are very difficult to react to. When you were playing on 144X, was this something that you felt, something that you dealt with consciously, or was that less of a problem?
There was a big issue, especially with how difficult it becomes for the game to actually display the speed at which these units are moving. If you just don't update the map once for a few seconds, things can happen. You look away, you build a building, you can't really do that in the end of the game. People are going to have massive bomber fleets. There's not much you can do about that, so you got to be prudent and just prepare for any kind of event. And so I definitely felt that fast units were really key, just using that speed. No one has enough overview over their country, over their front lines to really prevent anything from happening. I've seen many big armies fall to just failed little map updates, and so that has been a key ingredient, just using the already fast units in the fast speed. There's nothing you can do to react to that.
Yeah. And it's also very, very important to play ahead. So especially in tournament play, also having a single unit going and capturing provinces in a row is somewhat important for the tournament play, because obviously you need to hold provinces to get victory points. And on these maps, we can also see we can see this, that the teams will struggle when they hit a certain amount of units that they have to control. This sending of runners and sending of small disrupting units that just are there to take provinces, that will be hampered. They will definitely struggle with that.
Ooh, wow.
And yeah, France is losing the Normandy?
Yeah, from AI UK. I was going to say Spain, France, Germany is already, like, goodness, just look at how aggressively it looks like we're already going to be seeing the first battles between them and the Eastern Coalition.
This is going fast, yeah. Brittany fallen. This is people having some pain against the AI here between Ukraine and France. This is very messy.
I would say there's also clearly some happening between Karelia and Finland as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well.
And yeah, the teams, they are going to try to consolidate their territories. I am so surprised looking at this here in Denmark. These are Swedish and Finnish. Okay. I'm very surprised that we see this push coming this quickly, but it doesn't seem to be the German player that is acting there. This all is coming. This is all coming out from the east, from the Russians. They are kind of rolling through Scandinavia right now. Okay.
I feel like the Eastern Coalition have a pretty safe start here so far. They can just take so much AI, they can take so many provinces, they can move well into Turkey, Syria, Iraq, even Romania is still there. And I doubt Germany really has the ability now to wage war against them. They're facing two countries, they're only one. France is in some trouble, and the south is still dangerous for Spain. So I don't think they can really make a big move against the Eastern Coalition, just looking at their current portfolio of provinces.
Yeah, and I'm also really wondering with Germany and how quickly they took Poland, how that's going to affect them, because obviously they have a lot of provinces with low morale now, so that is something to keep track of as well. You don't want to constantly have to babysit your provinces that you just captured while you're waging a pretty important war on your eastern front. So it's going to be interesting for the German player.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Moving still in, they're taking Pinsk here with forced march, so they're really investing everything they have to just take as much as they can, deny it from Russia. It's working, but it's risky. They're going to invest lots of resources here.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if the strategy here is just to take territory now that you can give up easily later, because the other thing you have to consider is that France and Spain are kind of the industrial powerhouses that can supply the armies to that war in the east, but they have to travel quite a distance. And the further east you push, the harder it becomes to keep reinforcements coming in smoothly. So maybe this is just right now a first push to create some buffer and to create some time so you can consolidate your position.
Absolutely, yeah. That is a very important move. I've seen it a lot in the crater rounds. Just take some provinces, just why not? There was even less buffer nations there, so you just take some AI. Just to have the provinces, better than not having them. Might as well get some drops when you add it, and that was something we've seen a lot. Just getting these provinces in early always helped.
It's really interesting as well because, as predicted, it seems that the Americans are in a very incredibly safe state still.
Yeah. It's also fascinating to me that they did not bother capturing Canada. They said, we don't have time for this. we don't even want to fight the AI. We're straight going to the mainland. We're fighting, which is really cool.
I mean, there's a tiny push into Cuba, kind of.
Yeah, they're trying to take out Oculus.
Just very, very slight.
I've been concerned about that for a moment. I've watched that. And,
maybe just to explain why this is funny. We have Aquila set up in Cuba, and the stream, the perspective of the stream, we're set up in Iceland, so we can actually observe the map and watch everything. So obviously we don't want the players to take us out. That would be counterproductive. So we're just sitting on our islands. And
that is a good question for the chat. Why can't we see Germany, but we can see everyone else?
So Germany, the player hasn't shared his map with us yet. So the players have to share the maps with us in Iceland and in Cuba. They haven't shared it yet, but the next time we're going to take a break, we're going to fix that. Right now, the players are obviously really, really busy. At these speeds, they have to make inputs basically every 5 seconds, if not more. So we're going to wait until the first break, and then hopefully we can get that set up so we can look into Germany and see what's really going on there. But it adds an intriguing layer of mystique, doesn't it? Because Germany is just expanding.
Yeah.
We don't really know what's inside Germany. It's a mystery.
Germany, it's an enigma.
Yeah.
I could give a spoiler, but I will refrain from doing that. Since they did give me their map by now, but...
Okay.
Okay.
They forgot about us.
It's okay. They don't love us.
We'll find some Bytro way to punish them later. For this. Because we have the power. And yeah, so...
And really interesting with the Canada move of the Americans, like actually ignoring it. I think it does make sense since in Call of War provinces that you take are just worth less in production value. So actually just taking provinces that are valuable for your strategic exploration of the world. That does make a lot of sense if you're just aiming for a swift victory. So I can see the Americans having a pretty good idea here with what they're doing, just pouring all their troops into Morocco, into Western Sahara, just going for a push from there on. This could be a very game-winning move if this works well. If not, then they're going to be slightly behind, but this could be a pretty nice idea, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely agree.
Already it seems there's some battle happening in Dubrovnik.
And also ships relatively early out as well. I'm surprised by that. Usually I would expect more land-based armies in the beginning of the map, but we already have a couple of cruisers there just harassing the coastline. In the east of Italy. That's the my geography is failing me. That's the Adriatic here. Just doing some light harassment. And then just generally maybe looking at the time. So the peace period is going to run out in 5 minutes. And that's when the players can actually start fighting in earnest. So right now, all of the combat that we were seeing is just the players taking AI-controlled territory to establish their positions on the map. And then in 5 minutes, all bets are off.
All hell is going to break loose.
All hell is going to break loose. War is going to be declared. And then we're really going to see what the actual strategies here are for the teams and how well they can execute on them.
I'm really excited to see how this turns out because, for lack of a better term, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yes, most definitely. And so the thing is with the format. Obviously, these teams, they already somewhat know the game speed because they played in it in the semifinals. So they hopefully already have a good idea and they were able to plan for it. So with these tournament matches, obviously a big part of the whole experience for the teams is to come up with a strategy, to come up with a game plan, to set up specific build paths, to check and run numbers to see when can we build which units, how many are there going to be, what are we going to expect. At these speeds, sure, this planning is important, but it can also kind of go out of the window. And also units that you would usually see, they are kind of less favored on these maps. So something we saw in the semifinals, something that we've been seeing in the other speed maps, not necessarily tournaments that we ran, is that railroad guns, one of the absolute mainstay staples in Call of War meta, they are actually not quite as good on these maps because you cannot control them as precisely as you would like to. So something that the best players are really good at is controlling their units in a way where they just stay out of trouble while dishing out damage with their long-range railroad guns. And it's very hard. You can do it on these maps, but it's very taxing. It takes a lot of effort, and it's just not as strong. And what I'm really excited to see in 3 minutes when the peace period is over is to see, and the fighting really breaks out, is what units are they going to build here? Are they actually taking any learnings from the semifinals? And will there be railroad guns? I'm so excited because this is a big question that I have about all of this.
I mean, these are pros. I think they will definitely take lessons learned. They will have had meetings probably in between. They will develop their own meta for this kind of environment here. They're building.
Germany is shared.
Oh, yes, let's go.
Finally. We're seeing aircraft carriers come in here from the USA. They have built a very big fleet, but also Morocco. They built a fleet of 20 ships over here. So it looks like naval battles will become a big thing here. Mm-hmm. And if Morocco doesn't manage to actually stop the American supply coming into Western Sahara, then I can see them having the biggest issues first. There's a massive American army building up in Western Sahara. That looks to be like the biggest issue point right now, the biggest war point that's going to come in 2 minutes, because Germany, from what I can see, has mostly evacuated their immediate border with the Eastern Coalition, while the Eastern Coalition themselves is standing on the border with significant force, so they're going to probably move in, but Morocco needs to really just boost up the defenses down there.
Yeah. And we can, yeah. I'm interested to see, can you click on a couple of these armies? Let's check out these compositions. So we see a bunch of submarines, 10 submarines and 10 cruisers, I think. If I can, oh no, these are destroyers. I can't read the icon. It's too far away.
That's destroyers and cruisers.
Destroyers and cruisers. I saw a submarine. I need new glasses.
And then also destroyers and cruisers from the Americans. And then just this absolute unit filled with, what is that? Is that 5 aircraft carriers?
That is 5 aircraft carriers.
Holy crap.
That's coming in quickly. Wow.
They're bringing some significant force. I think they know exactly what they have to do. They have to defeat this one fleet of Morocco. They don't know it exists yet. They haven't seen it yet, so they're going to see it now coming in. They're going to probably go for the immediate strike in a minute. Morocco's going to try to take out their fleet, but they're going to find a pretty similarly strengthened fleet here. Slightly weaker than theirs, but the aircraft carriers might turn it around. This is going to be exciting. This is going to decide how this goes here in just a minute.
Yeah.
If this is by far the most significant early battleground, I'd say the second most significant besides this one in the east here is probably going to be here in Italy between the African nations and the European coalition.
The Central Powers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because this is like the one beachhead into this area, right?
Yeah, and already I can see the build-up happening.
No, we're just 30 seconds away. It looks like America is not having a good time with this. They're moving units back. I think they are outmatched right now, so Morocco did do a smart thing here. They just invested their resources into fleets, and they just slightly managed to get the edge there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be difficult.
And what I'm interested to see now is because obviously more or less the entire game plan of America hinges on getting this landing and winning this fight. So are they going to take the risk of merging the fleet with the aircraft carriers, and as soon as they are there, are they going to engage that naval stack from Morocco, or are they going to say, okay, no, we have to land somewhere else? Maybe let's try Portugal. Morocco didn't work. That I would be interested to see that, because on the flip side also, yes, you have all of this territory in America, but obviously if you cannot make the landing into Europe, you're just going to be stuck there, and you're becoming a passenger of the game. You want to be able to influence the other players. So this is quite an important moment for them, and they might just flip the coin to pull the landing off.
Absolutely, yeah. It looks like right now they have abandoned hope, at least for their troops there. They've vacated their fleet. It looks like the first battle has been fought and it has been won by Morocco, but now they still have the problem of there's a massive American army in their area moving through. It's going to take a while, but they don't have anything equivalent to stop it just yet. So they build up on fleet obviously has cost them most of their other kinds of armies. They've taken the Spanish possessions, but that doesn't really make up for that. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually stop this American army. They have nothing to really harm it right now.
And I should mention we are officially, for 1 minute now, off. We are in... battles are formally beginning now.
Yeah, so the peace period's off, and now the game starts for real. if it hasn't already.
That was just a pregame.
This was just fun and games just now, but this is really.
And I'm also seeing something come in here. Morocco has reacted. I think it's Algeria actually. There's 11 tactical bombers coming from the north, so they're probably going to be their answer to the American army. That's going to make short work of that.
Yeah, there's actually quite a big buildup of tactical bombers, and here we can see the team play coming in as well. That's obviously quite important on these maps. Is that
and interceptors.
Yeah, so you can see these are the planes from Algeria, but they're landing in Morocco, right? Like you share resources as much as possible, and there's a high degree of coordination going on inside these games. And you can see how quick the tactical bombers, they just transferred a little bit down south. We didn't even see it on our screen because because it's so fast.
And already they've just moved in. Like besides Via Cisneros, the southern U.S. been completely pushed out of Africa.
Oh yeah, and the fleets have also pulled back completely. So they America is regrouping definitely, and this puts Morocco, Algeria, Libya. They are in a strong position now. Because their western front is quite secure now, and they can look north towards Europe.
Absolutely, this is a pretty big disaster for America. Actually, I love the confidence of Morocco though, just to not even bother sending down armies. They're not even trying. They had a plan and it worked exactly. They got assistance from their allies. They had a good fleet. They knew what they were doing and they answered this perfectly. Very impressive.
And the timing was really good as well, right? Like Call of War can be a game that's a lot about timing and having your units in the correct place, because if they show their hand too early, the Americans can spot this from a mile away and they can adjust. But because they hit their fleet so well and they only built it up when they exactly needed it, were they able to pull this off so flawlessly.
Yeah, excellent. Really nice move. This is very impressive. And now we're also seeing war with Germany. Ukraine's moving in.
Yeah. So yeah, here we can see the units on standby on the border already. We're gonna see them moving in. We might need a quick refresh maybe even to see them moving.
Yeah, I just got that too. They're moving in fast. Germany left a pretty big buffer, so I'm assuming they were preparing for this. They got their troops sitting here in western Poland. They got more than enough to answer this, but apparently they're not really caring about the war for any of the other provinces here. They're just letting them fall.
Yeah. So they really are consolidating those provinces. Here we go. We can see the push coming in on the stream now as well. So we can also see benefit of the shared map. We can see where the units are actually headed. And so here we can see the runners from Ukraine just entering the territories, and they're just there to capture. They're not there to fight. If you lose these types of units, this is totally fine. This is expected. This is the most attention efficient way of playing these maps, because obviously you have to split your attention, so you just set them up to do their thing, and if they die, they die. That's totally fine. But also right now we can see that second line of defense with the tanks, with the armored cars here for Germany, just waiting. So they're gonna lure them in, and I think then they're gonna just try to trap them, try to engage them at better points. One thing that I find interesting here currently is we don't see any fortifications being built. So there are no obvious strong points, at least here in these Eastern German territories, where they could be defending. So there's no like one single spot where they say we're going to fight there, but it's relatively open for now.
Yeah, it does look like they just took the first battle at Łódź. They fought an army there, but they're seeming to just let the enemy come in and probably wanting to trap them, I could see, since they have such many mobile troops just sitting around. I'm assuming they're just waiting for like a bigger army to show up, and apparently Ukraine isn't committing that just yet, so this is just propping attacks at this point. Warsaw is safe still, Krakow is safe, so nothing major so far at least.
Yeah.
And I noticed as well that what I'm curious to see is I'm curious to see if a battleground's going to erupt here in Scandinavia, though, because the Germans are building up just well, maybe not that much, but just a little bit here in Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can see the Finns literally just across the water.
And this could actually be this could be the game plan here for the.
Fenris asks, what's the composition of those tank armies? I believe this is talking about Ukraine, yes?
Or the German
Yeah.
ones here, yeah. So we see a few armored cars for vision, a couple of light tanks, and then medium tanks. So relatively mobile tank army. That's good at taking out other armored cars, infantry, and fighting other tanks, but maybe not necessarily if Russia decides to build heavier tanks. Obviously, these light and medium tanks will get overwhelmed.
Now it seems like Russia is also joining in this fight, and Ukraine is committing their next reserves. They're sending in the second medium tank division. Russia sending in their whole army. It's a 17 stack of infantry units, some anti-air as well in there, and they're actually going for Warsaw now. So I think this is going to be the first big battles here, since Germany is also moving in their armored car division. This is about to get a bit more serious.
And this is going to be an interesting make or break moment on this side of the map as well, because we just had the camera over there towards Scandinavia, towards Denmark. Finland is a factor here. They are part of this Ukraine, Russia, Finland coalition team. They could come in from the north across the sea if they find the timing, if they find the sweet spot where they can embark and cross through the East Sea here. There is a chance for them to seriously pressure Germany from the north and maybe even just swiftly take out Hamburg, because there is not a lot of defense directly in Hamburg or even close by to help should Finland make a serious push there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really difficult to actually deal with naval invasions, since if you just forget to update the game just for a few minutes or a few seconds even, you can just miss them, and in a normal game round you have the advantage of it taking so long, you have enough time to react. But here this is passed in only a few minutes, so if you just don't pay attention for a moment, this can really change the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Also seeing America return to Western Sahara with an even bigger fleet now, combined fleet of different nations as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah! Wow.
That's a convoy.
They want to save their troops. They're still there. No one has really tried to fight them. Morocco is just confident that they can just keep them down there, and their fleet is lurking in the distance. So I wonder who will react first, and if this is going to be enough. Then this time they brought some interceptors. We'll see what they do.
Something that we sadly can't see from our perspective here is how much espionage is going on and how many spies are being deployed. Because what I'm really surprised by is how well informed Morocco is currently. Like, they are really ahead, one step ahead of the American team here. Considering they already are restocking these ships, they know it's coming. They are ready.
Oh god, that Moroccan cruiser stack. Like, so that I think they know something's happening.
Yeah. But they need to get them done.
So Finland has taken Sweden, and so going, as I see there's talking to chat about that, that pressure is, if anything, in the Scandinavian front, I'd say it's kind of split through Denmark.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the dividing line here. So the north, everything north of the sea is Finland, is our eastern team, and everything south of the sea, that's Germany and our more central team playing there. And anything that happens has to come across the sea. And you talked a little bit about embarking or naval invasions, Akila, earlier. I always find this fascinating in Call of War, because they are so timing dependent, and you really have to know what you're doing when you're trying to do a naval invasion, because obviously you have a disembark timer with your armies, and you're stuck there, so you can get crushed really, really easily. And it's also often a point in time where, for example, submarines will strike, and they will try to take out your units that just freshly embarked. They lurk off your coast, and then the submarine comes and wipes your entire infantry stack. But maybe we get back to this later, because the naval battle of the century is about to kick off here between Morocco and America.
I
Yeah, it
mean,
looks like it's happening. This is in Morocco is in the prime position to win that. The Americans brought fighters, but you don't bring fighters to a gun battle. So we're gonna see if they can perform here. But the battle is also, it's a very close battle here. It's a fist fight.
And I
Oh.
wonder how much of an adaptation this is bringing these 20 fighters here to with the aircraft carriers. I wonder how much of an adaptation this is to make sure that these tactical bombers that Morocco and Algeria had around on their airfields, to make sure they don't mess with this here, right? Like there's a stack of 30 tactical bombers. I would be surprised though. I feel like these tactical bombers are in case the landing actually happens, and not so much to influence the naval battle here.
Yeah, absolutely. They have not really been deployed past the coastline, but it does look like it's still a pretty close fight. But now, just with sacrificing their fleets, they're getting all these troops on land, and they still have their army from previously. It's still there. Morocco wasn't able to take them out, so America's going to reinforce their position here quite strongly. They're going to get a big army on land that's going to be able to actually threaten the Moroccan capital here eventually. So for Morocco, this is not going too well right now, I would say.
They should win that battle, the cruiser battle. Obviously, they're going to take a couple of losses, but they do have a much bigger stack. So once they are free to move again after this battle, they can try to do something about the aircraft carriers at least. But yeah, the landing force is on land, so America has made the first step here.
Yeah, and the planes are also on land now, I think, or maybe not. They might deploy them on land, so I could see that happening. And then they have a pretty sizable force here.
Yeah. They're definitely patrolling the planes into the land, so they get vision. So they're also checking. This is something smart that we can see here. They're obviously trying to protect the invasion fleet, so they have the planes patrolling further east inland, so they can see anything coming down towards Villa Cisneros.
and if you've noticed me bringing up the team overview every now and then, I see questions as people are hopping in. So I think just to go over one more time, we have the Central European Coalition, or not Central, but I'd say mainland European Coalition of Germany, France, and Spain. We have the American Coalition of the North and South half of the U.S. We have the Eastern Coalition of Russia, Finland, and Ukraine. And then we have the African Coalition of Libya, Algeria, and Morocco. And I'd say the two big battlegrounds to watch right now are, wow, that
That one.
well, literally right there in Africa between the Americans and the Moroccans.
Yeah, and we can see that Moroccan cruiser stack, despite being half health, it's a little bit not visible because the aircraft carriers are that big, but they broke through the lines, the Moroccans, with their fleet, and they are going to take out those aircraft carriers shortly here. So a big investment by the Americans, but their invasion fleet is on land. It's disembarking, and they got their foot on the mainland.
Yeah, big sacrifice. Interesting that they went for that, but I guess they can, since they know they don't have to defend their coastlines really, so they can just invest everything they have. They're not even caring about Canada at this point, just sending everything over, making it work, even if it's a one-time use only. And it has proven very successful for them so far. Question is if they can actually break through any landlines, if they can actually take anything of significance from Morocco, because so far Morocco seems chill with this.
Yeah, and I guess the main issue for the Americans here is that they need to build up some kind of infrastructure on the lands that they gained just now, because if they cannot build anything on the mainland, this is all for nothing, because they cannot resupply. This 27 cruiser stack from Morocco is just going to keep blocking everything, and there's nothing the Americans can really do about that.
Yeah, indeed, and now they've lost their
Absolutely.
Maybe we can look back towards Germany a little bit here, because
The Scandinavian / Eastern Front.
yeah. So we
It
can
looks
still
like
see.
big fights have not really happened. I'm not sure exactly what happened while we were gone.
Yeah, I'm checking now. I don't see that armored car stack that the Germans had going.
Yeah.
It might have either gotten merged with. Oh, it got merged with this medium tank division in
Yeah,
Krakau.
it's really,
So they did survive with those, which is surprising to me. It felt like they were kind of out on a limb, pushing. And yeah, it's surprisingly stable. To me, this would suggest that the teams here are just feeling each other out, and they're not quite ready to commit to this one yet, because they know it's going to be a big clash. And these are kind of expensive armies with all of these tanks too.
I do see reinforcements coming in from the east, though.
Oh yeah, they're sending in tanks. Yeah, they're gonna probably erupt this much bigger eventually once they've gotten a feeling for this. Danzig is now under threat by the Finnish armored cars, so Germany will have to react on this eventually. And they did lose Warsaw, so they're definitely on the backhand right now, and doesn't look like they have any forces here that can really threaten the enemy significantly. Though it does look like the big Russian army was destroyed. At least I don't see it anymore. There was a Russian stack that moved into Warsaw, and I only see a medium-sized group in Pinsk, but I wouldn't be knowing much more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense considering that Warsaw is being held by our Eastern team here. That they maybe this was the investment they had to make to capture that city, as to lose that
But
army.
we can see Morocco having some trouble here. They have to now pull in troops to defend their coastline here. The Americans are moving in. The planes have managed to be also landed, and so their tactical bombers can't really do that much anymore. 20 fighters, that's a pretty sizable force, and Morocco does not have big land armies here yet. So they are now slowly feeling the pressure of this.
Definitely. So once those armies are on land, obviously the cruisers can't protect them anymore, so the first line of defense has been broken. And maybe if we go a little bit zoomed out onto the entire map here, we can see that the southern United States are taking a big chunk out of Morocco. They're capturing their very first provinces, slowly making headway. But
I do have a small question, actually, just settings-wise. Would it be possible to change view to show coalition colors?
we can check here. Go, to the map controls, and
Okay.
then on the different map modes,
Okay.
this should be the one, show nation colors. So now we can at least see the nations. We don't necessarily see the teams, but we can distinguish the nations a little bit better, I think.
Absolutely. So we can already see right here that what's really surprising me is just how secure this entire southern portion of Morocco now seems to be what used to be Western Sahara.
Yeah, this is if you invest this heavily into your naval strength, as Morocco did, that's where the resources go. So they don't have that much power on the land. All of the tactical bombers, I think they are sponsored by Algeria as well. So this isn't even like necessarily an Algerian army. You can use the ships though to bombard, right? So this is the only thing that they have left to do is they can't reconquer this city, but they can destroy it. This is their only recourse left yet. But obviously, that's a little bit of a small consolation prize if they can't get a land army up to stop those marauding American units.
And it does look like they're also retreating from battle. Agadir is not going to fall. They had a sizable army there, but it's also on half strength morale-wise, so I don't know what happened to them there. But it doesn't look like they're really able to build up a defensive line or even any fortifications I can see so far. And Marrakesh is not far away, so they will soon start really feeling this impact. So far, there's only been minor provinces, not a big issue, but this is going to become more of a problem just in a second here.
These Algerian fighters that we can see, those are going to be very interesting because those are, I think that's 2 stacks of 10 fighters each. Maybe to players who are not as familiar with the rules of the game, there's a limit or there's certain efficiencies how big stacks can get before they lose damage when they're fighting. So these stacks are split, so they are fighting as efficiently as possible. We just saw them disappear. So I think what just happened, because we just saw a bunch of fighters get deleted from our screens, is that the American fighters found the Algerian fighters and they completely wiped each other out. I think that's what happened. So this opens up the door for the tech bombers to come in and do some cleanup. So this is a pretty big power swing here between Morocco and America.
And
If the fighters are gone, that's a big impact. That'd be huge for them.
I can already say that I think it's easy to say that Marrakesh is going to be the next big battle in this region.
Armored cars are ready to go. But they have to be careful with these armored cars. They are kind of vulnerable to the cruisers if they can actually get into range.
They can't move anymore on the coastline, so the cruisers are just going to be used as like a fortification now. But this means that the Americans can now send supplies again if the cruisers have to be busy up there. So it'll be a problem for Morocco later on if they do that.
Yeah, we can already see the ships are coming.
They're coming in.
So a constant tug of war almost in this case.
And meanwhile, the German front line is also on the move again. They did not manage to protect Danzig, so that fell to Finland for a moment. And now Germany is moving in their army to Warsaw, forcing Russia to retreat. But Ukraine has built up a sizable fourth tank division there. And they're going to be able to threaten Tarnow in the south if they actually do move in. They're strong enough to really do something there.
And so far, it does seem to be the strategy for Germany. It seems to be to just stay passive, to not take any big battles unnecessarily, like even if it costs them territory. They do have that second defense line just waiting and sitting, and they've been sitting there for quite some time now. We can also see some upgrades coming through, so the research is obviously running for them. And they want to make sure they are as strong as possible for whatever push is coming out of the east in the near future, or big major push. And also, what I just spotted just now in Ukraine was the first railroad gun. So we do actually have them. They are part of the game. Can't have a good Call of War map without a few railroad guns at least.
And those have been very popular in the rounds I've played. Those were the standard late game unit. Everyone just built stacks of these, moved armies around with them, and they were deciding who would win. They would be nuked all the time. But interesting to see so far how people play here. Like, we countries seem to have different focuses on different units. Morocco's building navy, Algeria's building air force, and so on. So I wonder if we're going to see like maybe just one country build railguns and the other ones are going to build tanks. Something like that I can definitely see happening.
Yeah, and this is also something that happens on these more structured tournament teams or teams that are really seriously competing. So usually what they want to do is they have one player controlling planes and they have one player controlling the ships. So it keeps the responsibilities all on one player. It makes it easy for them to control that specific aspect of the game. And also, obviously, it optimizes the research process in their own nation and how they streamline their production towards these resources. On these speed maps, I feel like this sometimes kind of gets wacky and you just see units being built because you need a unit right then and there and you don't even have time to plan it out as precisely. So on these speed maps, we definitely won't see as much of a split in the workload there.
Yeah. I wonder if Morocco is going to see the Americans are landing in the north there in Tangier. I wonder if they're paying attention or if that's just going to go through. It's a very sneaky maneuver there by the southern USA. Taking that province right there. And we're also seeing another naval battle right now. The Americans are going to lose 2 more cruisers there. So they're not going to really be able to fight for a naval dominance anytime soon.
Yeah. And this early investment into their navy that got subsequently destroyed, you can see how it slowed them down, right? Like they cannot very quickly bring one of those nations back into one of those fleets back into the game.
That stack, I swear, it's bigger every time I see it.
Yeah, it's just these cruisers are multiplying.
Every time I look, there's more of them.
Yeah. Oh, and now we can also see here. So we haven't talked about Libya much, right? So there's 3 players in this African team. It's Morocco, it's Algeria, and it's Libya. And I feel like we haven't talked about Libya at all because they're kind of in the safest position completely in the map. But now we can see one of their stacks actually moving in. So this is kind of the bonus of being the more protected player, right? Like it gives you time to build up units and to find impact on the map later on when your teammates need you that are fighting to hold the border. Now your stack comes in, cleans up, and manages. Most likely, I think this stack will just wipe out this American invasion force. I don't see anything that they could use to fight this.
So do you see Libya moving in right now through Western Sahara as well? They have another stack down there. They have 2 stacks. That looks to be the end of the American presence down there. They could have even taken the city there. That is a big problem in North America. They're basically cut off.
And my big wonder now is I'm wondering if America's going to be put in a position like you suspected they might, where they end up having to be passengers in this game for the rest of it.
I very much think so. I think obviously they have a lot of potential to stall and to just survive, but surviving in Call of War is not enough. In Call of War, it's really important that you're active, that you take provinces, that you get new resources, get access to new resources, because otherwise you just slowly bleed out and get choked out. and you're not able to participate in the match itself, even if you still hold provinces and there is a nominal presence on the map, but it's not as meaningful. So for them, I think they can pull back maybe to the continent. Maybe they can even look to capturing Canada, maybe to regain those resources that they skipped out on in the beginning of the map. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, and already
I'm an oracle.
You're Lucas. You are.
I'm
you
a
are.
genius. I've seen too many of these
You
maps.
shine.
And yeah, so we can see they are completely now focusing on the American continent. They're going to take all of these AI-controlled nations that they skipped beforehand, and they're going to get those resources there. And then they slowly want to stabilize their position, but this is going to take them at least until day 14. Day 20, what we're talking about, the amount of tempo that they lost on the map here.
Yeah, they're going to be out for a while. I like also putting a little focus on the Polish front line right now, because I just watched a Ukrainian and Russian army, pretty sizable stack, move in from Warsaw towards the German troops in Łódź. And they were moving in, and then they just turned around when the Germans just didn't retreat. So I feel like this is just like people looking at each other very angrily and hoping one folds first. So apparently they're trying, but no one's really ready to commit just yet.
I don't know why, but I always find it funny when you see an AI nation just whittled down to one province, because we have this really fortified line here and then just one random greater Romanian province. So who is winning? Where can we bring that up? I'm so used to playing on mobile.
What are you looking for?
Points rankings.
Oh, we can bring them up on this one.
Here we go.
So we can see they even uploaded an image. How do they have time? So Team 17, we can expand to see who they are. So this is the Eastern Alliances. No big surprises here, I think, that they are ahead in victory points right now with 317 in the lead. Considering that they were able to take a bunch of provinces both in their own backcountry and right now they are slowly pushing into those German territories. So no super big surprises there, I think. And then tied shared second and third place here for that Central European coalition with like France and Germany and Spain. And then the Africans and America probably cut off a little bit. We might have to hit that button as well, I think. Oh, no, we can't.
No.
We can't? This one? Why can't
No,
we see
that's...
All right. So so they're probably a little bit cut off in the victory points. That's why I'm not seeing them right now. So no big surprises, I think, in the victory points. They do reflect the overall state of the game. But these kind of the rankings, they can flip relatively quickly, depending on one big battle. And if we look at these stacks here, there's something big brewing here, east of Warsaw. Like that's a lot of units congregating in one spot, and it looks like there's some German tanks in the area as well.
And with more lining up along the border. Mm-hmm. So what I'm curious to see as well is going south to Africa, are they going to continue to build up in case Americans strike back, or are they going to head to Europe?
It's a big question, right? How are you going to invade this? So I feel like for them, if they go east via Libya and then they go Egypt, Turkey, there's no good options with access to the mainland. One just in the east takes you around the whole map, and then in the west you have to go through this choke point on the Strait of Gibraltar in Spain. So if I was them, and I'm really bad at the game, keep that in mind. If I was them, I would just try to consolidate my power for now. Just build up armies, and then push east a little bit, get some more resources out east, and then maybe make a naval invasion somewhere. Because, yeah, they're in the best position on the map right now, so they don't have to necessarily do anything.
And I think it's very impressive how they've quite literally cornered the Americans. I mean, there's this little, they have a few units heading out this way, but besides that, they are quite literally backed into a corner.
This is
there's a lot of confidence coming in there, and they even are now retreating from Italy, so it seems like they're really looking at that consolidation you mentioned. They have a good position. They're basically America plus one player, plus land access technically towards the west, towards Turkey and so on. And so they have multiple options now. They have a pretty safe northern area. No one's going to invade them there. America has been beaten, so they got all the options right now. They don't have to worry about anything else, and they can just build up and do exactly what they want now.
Yeah, and I think it's. Is this brewing here?
I think something big is about to break out here.
But I think it's very interesting always also to just watch how these players set up before the battle. Right, this is like a big part, is making sure your armies are in the correct spot, and I think we can see what they are waiting for. There's that's a lot of railroad guns just coming in and slowly.
What is that?
making
Is
their way.
that we have 3 railway guns, and I'm assuming this won't be the end of them.
And also, very importantly, they do have some AA with them. And if I was to take a wild guess, this is a learning that they made during the semifinals, is to just have a bunch of AA in all of your stacks, because otherwise you are going to get harassed by tactical bombers. It's not fun to be on the receiving end of that. So they are trying to mitigate the impact of that as much as possible already, despite us not having seen all that many planes on this Germany-Ukraine fault line so far.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to actually go about this on Germany's side for defending this. They're not building up defensive fortifications except for Berlin. They have some French allies there, some planes as well, but mostly fighters. We're seeing like 20, 25 tactical bombers there, or like tactical bombers and planes, and huge armies for Ukraine and Russia. And if those actually do move in, Germany will have to play their defense in depth again, retreat, and try to catch them somewhere. But this will be difficult for them to defend just with the things they have here right now. So they can count probably on France, bailing them out, giving them forces, and so on.
Yeah. And yeah, interesting how, well, it's not slow, but it's definitely a very measured game. And I think given that this is the last game of the tournament, there is no takesies backsies here. I think it's to be expected that the players are trying to be as controlled as possible, and they are playing this slower style, because definitely in a normal Call of War match, you would see a little bit more of a fiesta at this point. There would be a little bit more aggression and just taking fights for the hell of it. This is not happening here. Like, these players and these, they are trying to give themselves the best conditions possible before they do anything here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I can only imagine how nervous everyone must be. Like, they've played so much now for a month, and they've beaten very tough opponents continuously before, just to be here now. So they're definitely going to give it all they got, but also going to be a bit more careful, since one mistake can really cost you the whole match. And we've seen how devastating they can go for America now already. And I just know from my round so far, which were about nothing really, I've been nervous and trying to really perform well there. And so I cannot imagine what's going through their heads right now, trying to just be the best here, trying to figure out what the enemy is going to do. This is very difficult.
Yeah.
And once again for the chat, 144 acts. So each day is only 10 minutes long. So what was it you say? Like at least one move every 5 seconds?
Yeah. At minimum. At least, or basically every second of this match, you have to you have to process some kind of information, you have to take an action. You're insanely busy playing this. And I mean, for everyone who has played Call of War before, they know that this is usually a very slow game. And this is usually the game you check in once every hour, right? If you're really dedicated to your maps. Here, there's no breaks. This is all gas, no stops. You're just going constantly, and it's quite taxing as well, which maybe is a good tie-in. So in 5 minutes, we're going to end out with day 7, and because this is quite fast and quite taxing for the players, we're going to take a short break at that point. So we're going to pause the game for 5 minutes, and we're going to let the players get up, rest their eyes for a little bit, maybe grab a drink. We don't sit here for the entire 5-ish hours that this map is going to take in one sitting. That would be a bit cruel. And we don't want to torture the competitors.
We can also see right now there's a fleet coming in again from America, battleships this time, which Morocco doesn't have just yet. I wonder if they're going to try to break out of this situation again. They did manage to defeat the Libyan stack in the Sahara Desert, so they are still alive. And now they're coming in with battleships. Not enough, probably, to really beat the whole Moroccan fleet, but the Moroccan fleet also is split up right now. Many of them are in the north, upgrading right now, so they're going to be delayed. This could be interesting if they manage to catch that little Moroccan cruiser fleet there.
Indeed, if they're just planning to knock back those 11 there, they might actually have a chance with this.
Yeah, this would swing the whole situation around again, since Morocco has not built battleships just yet, so they're a little bit behind on that. This could be an interesting move, and I'm also still interested to see like just why Morocco is being so just patient with the American troops down there. They're not really engaging them as strong as they could. They're being very safe with their troops, which makes sense. They're probably expecting more invasions, but they could have taken out these American fighters already, and they've just been very, very careful and reserved with the use of troops.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some calculus going on in the background here, where they're saying they are no threat. They may take a province here and there, and we do not want to invest at all. Like, if we take them out, it's going to be one move. We're not going to incur any losses by taking them out, and then this is done. I wonder if that's the calculation going on, but obviously that can be a bit of a gambit, considering that there is the next convoy of American landing ships going in. They're persistent, if anything. Chapeau to them. Like, they are not giving up, and this time it's battleships. So we've upgraded, and I'm not sure if Morocco has upgraded their fleet so far. I think it's still mostly cruisers. So these battleships, they might actually they have the upper hand here.
Yeah, it does look like Morocco would be in trouble here. They're now trying to consolidate their cruisers, but they're retreating from the Western Sahara coastline, so they are conceding this for the moment at least. So they will take the province with a little anti-air there, unless America comes first. But yeah, props to America for keeping up. This is a good idea, I think. If they left Morocco alone now, they could just rebuild, and they would have suffered immense losses. And just keeping at it definitely harms Morocco in the long term.
Yeah, definitely. And now this also puts Morocco under pressure, obviously, because now the containment strategy that they were running, where they're saying you cannot come across the sea because we have 30 cruisers on our coastline, this suddenly doesn't work anymore. And suddenly you're heavily invested into these cruisers, and they are completely countered by superior ships here. This does put Morocco into a bit of a pickle. And it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to turn out. And maybe they wish they had dealt with those land units way sooner now, considering that they're starting to expand and they're starting to cause trouble. And now you have to deal with them. Now you can't just ignore them anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. This is difficult for them now, especially because just building these battleships, trying to match that, will be very costly and very time intensive, which honestly tells me that they haven't been using spies too much. They didn't see this build-up coming. This has been going on for a few days now. I've been watching it quietly off the American coast, and they haven't really reacted to that, which is interesting. So apparently they have a little gap in their espionage there.
Mm-hmm. And I want to, I mean, we talked about this just now as well, that this is quite fatiguing for the players. I wonder how much this can be mental fatigue, where in a normal tournament game, you have a full day to take care of these things, to talk about these, to discuss these as a team. Here, maybe if you don't refresh your spies, maybe if you don't look at your spies, or you're getting too cocky and you think you have the situation under control, so you don't need to invest into the spies. Maybe this is costing them a little bit here, because they definitely were not prepared for this landing.
Yeah, this could really be fatigue. From my experience playing these rounds, you only have 10 minutes for a day, for all the business in a day. That's usually not enough really for a normal round. If you just spend 10 minutes per day, you won't be able to really do everything you want to do, from trading to diplomacy to planning things to moving troops, building units. That just takes so much more time than 10 minutes. And so they will have to leave things on the side to do later. And so they will make little mistakes every now and then, and these are exploitable. And we can see it right now here in Africa, apparently.
And then maybe before we go into the break, we can have a quick look at the
Eastern Front.
At the Eastern Front and Central Europe here. So, we see some planes zooming. This is how fast planes are. those Finnish interceptors just zooming on the map and doing some funny things here.
Yeah, they're moving around at fast pace. It's very difficult to really deal with. You cannot react, and if you just don't update your server every few seconds, you will miss out on having a chance to fight that. So this is just very, very challenging to really deal with.
Would it be fair to say even that we're seeing the beginnings of I wouldn't say a fast push, but actually a very measured push into the German territory?
Yeah, definitely. And I was about to comment on this. So they're not just pushing through one province. Like, this is two provinces coming in a coordinated push. So they're trying to split this German army apart as well. They don't want to fight them all in one, but we see this Russian stack up north, doing its thing, and then the railroad gun starting to bombard further south. So this is going to be a little bit of a pincer on a very, very wide front.
But oh god, attention to the south. The Alps, Finnish armored cars have made it through there, and they're finding a very undefended southern Germany right now. That is
Wow.
going to be annoying for them, and I don't think they've seen that yet. Nothing's on the way just yet.
That's certainly a twist, one, because as soon as we're back from the first break, it looks
Oh.
like they're going to be pushing straight into Munich.
They're going to take some things. This is going to be very difficult for them to deal with. There's nothing really there, and they need their reserves right now just up there in the front lines to defend in Warsaw. So, well, this is bad timing for Finland now with the pause, but
Yeah.
or not as we go.
So yeah, so the game should be paused now. It's not updated on our client yet, but the round is paused for the next 5 minutes, and I think we can go to a short break as well, so we can get up as well.
Yes, absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our break screen for about 5 minutes. Feel free as well on your end to grab some water, grab some snacks.
Yes.
I believe we're actually going to be ordering, like pizza or something?
Hopefully. I'm hungry. And yeah, just make sure to take a quick break, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes with more hot scorching 144 action.
Yes, back with more Call of War. All right, see y'all shortly.
Stay tuned.
And we're back. Hello. Are
Back
you
at
ready?
full speed.
Back at full speed. Are you ready to get into it?
I'm absolutely ready to get into it. Let's see.
Yeah, then absolutely. So, just starting from the overview here, I think it's fair to say that that's how things looked at the very beginning when we started off, right? And this is where we're at now.
Yeah, that's a change. There's definitely been some shifting of borders here. But despite all of these changes so far, all teams are still in it. There's no early losers here, which
No.
I think is really cool as well. Because sometimes it can happen that you get cheesed out in the beginning, right? And you're just gone and it's unsalvageable. But so far, all teams still have a shot at seriously winning this. So we're in for a very exciting another hour of 144X.
In fact, I believe already just starting at, we can already see an interesting development where the Finns have pushed through Denmark, heading both towards England, towards Scotland and towards the Netherlands. And then if we go down here, we can see that they're actually beginning to push into southern Germany. In fact, the Finns have taken Munich and are even pushing into Italy.
So yeah, a couple of armored cars that are just wreaking havoc in the backline, and this is super well coordinated from our team out east, right? They come in with Finland from the north, Russia and Ukraine are coming in from the east, but this is really well pulled off, and this is going to give a ton of headaches to this team in Germany and France. And let's see how they're going to respond to this, because this is going to be quite difficult. And they're immediately back in the action after the pause. Like, this is...
It is a very, very exciting move by Finland here. I love armored cars, my favorite unit, so seeing this just makes my heart beat. And obviously the curse of the pause has befallen them. I feel like if there wasn't a pause, potentially Finland actually managed to move through here without any interference of the French. So now the impact was a bit reduced. But Munich has still fallen, so... and they're only using like old armored cars. These are not fully upgraded, so the loss is not that severe. If they do die, and they will probably die. And the damage is massive. Munich is still in Finnish hands. They could even steal this armored car that's being produced there. So, yeah, this is an amazing move by them.
Mm-hmm. And they are really, really spreading out. This is these armored cars. They're basically going all over the place.
It looks like no, Luxembourg's still standing. It looks like goodness. There's no protection in Amsterdam, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's none in the north of the UK. They've pretty much fanned out, and I'm not sure how the Germans will recover at this point.
Yeah, this is stressful. They have sent a big force south, maybe even too much, because now look at Ukraine and Russia, they're on the move, and they have big armies, bigger than the German armies there, and they have railguns. I don't see how they will respond to this.
And yeah, and this is where it comes in. That it's really important that you have a good idea who is doing what. So far, I think Germany and France, they have their responsibilities shared. So Germany is covering the eastern border, and then France is trying to clear up the inner territories. But yeah, I don't see how they contest this push in the east. And they are pulling. Germany is pulling back the tanks. They did arrive now here, roughly like France, Switzerland area, I think. And they are going to take out a few of these armored cars, but this is obviously quite the commitment here from the Germans to deal with this when their eastern front is getting pushed this heavily.
So look at France. The North Sea just fell, and there's not much between the armored cars and Paris. This is
Yeah.
terrifying. The tactical bombers will probably save the day, but still.
Yeah, and the
Very,
important thing is
very
you do
good
have
move.
you have to spot this, right? Like this might be one of those things that just gets missed in the chaos of all of this. So this is a big moment.
This is terrifying. And moving from like Strasbourg to Paris takes
Oh,
like a minute roughly.
and
with armored
the-
cars, so.
The first major Finnish claim in Spanish Italy.
And I think we're gonna see Paris fall here.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't
gonna
think
be
they're gonna be able to. The bombers didn't do. This is gonna be our first capital. Wow, this is impressive. Honestly, props to Finland
Yeah.
making this move. Even with the pause, it still worked out. They knew all of this, and they managed to just take Paris. Wow. So big disaster strikes the Central Coalition here.
And this is this is really funny to me that this happens now and this quickly, because this does speak to the planning and the coordination that went into this attack beforehand. The Paris has fallen now. These armored cars are, I think, gonna get wiped out shortly. They're on the last little legs or wheels in that case, I guess. But that was a really good push. And maybe we can have a look out east how this affects the front line there, because this is, of course, these armored cars. They are exciting, but the real battle is happening right here on our screens, right? This is where the main push is coming in. This is where the real territory is going to be gained. Around Warsaw, coming towards Krakow as well now. And these German tanks are going to really have a fight on their hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we're still being very careful there. Not too much activity. Even Krakow is still allowed to stand, even though they could bombard it. The Russian troops have also decided not to actually engage the Germans in battle at Poznan or anything like that. So we're still, I think, being very careful. No one wants to just commit the big armies just yet. But with the fall of Paris, I think we're not going to see too much coming out of France for at least the time being until they can recover. And so this is only going to swing further into the favor of the Eastern Coalition here.
Yeah.
I will say, looking further south, it's interesting to see as well that the Americans have managed to fully reclaim the Western Sahara and are pushing into Morocco just a little bit, though it seems that the Moroccans and them are still fighting over this basically just desert.
Wow, what an exciting fight on here! Like for Morocco, just permanent action. Just have to chase the Americans to the desert. Probably not what I expected this to be like, but I mean, it's still working for both sides, I would say, at this point. No one has lost just yet, but it's a massive investment of resources, which they could obviously use elsewhere. Like right now is the time to strike Spain, for example. They can't, just because of the amount of stuff happening down there.
Yeah, and I think Spain is sighing the biggest sigh of relief that they do not have to defend the southern border right now, because that would be a big mess for them, considering what they have to deal with in their inner territories. We can still see there's still Finnish territory. There's still Finnish armored cars on the news. This was like a clown car almost, right? Like first there's like a stack of 10 armored cars, and then suddenly there's 10 of them all over the map, and they're wreaking havoc, and they're really annoying to deal with. So Finnish armored cars are built different in Call of War, apparently.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Germans here with that. This was a very devastating strike here. And also I still like the German fighter plane, which I'm sure they forgot about. It's flying from Leipzig over Berlin. It's been doing that ever since the round started. I'm sure they just accidentally get the order. And this is what happens in these kinds of rounds. You just make these moves and you just can't look at anything twice. You have no time. Otherwise stuff like this happens. And so you're going to make mistakes, and mistakes are punished immediately.
Yeah. And then also something we can see here is that this push from the east, it's kind of getting consolidated. So now we can see we have tanks up front, and then the railguns are stacked behind. So they're slowly setting up for this push. This is obviously harder for them to coordinate because it's two players having to do the inputs here. The Russian player and the Ukrainian player both have to coordinate here. So this is going to be a little bit harder for them to pull off, where the German player basically has control of all of his units and he can just immediately react. So let's see how well coordinated or how much they can coordinate this.
And it seems the push is already beginning with the Eastern Coalition taking Krakow.
And I think that the fate of Central Europe basically lies in the balance here with this battle. Like, this is going to be the big one, because Germany has to commit those tanks, and I really doubt they can replace them quickly. So there's not really any going back from this battle. Like, however this goes, this will decide a lot of the control of a lot of provinces and potentially also your game here.
Yeah, and I just don't really see any way in for Germany just at this current moment with the railguns, just more and more coming in just every day. They have nothing to really challenge that. They do have the French Air Force still, which is waiting somewhere in Frankfurt, so that is still the one saving grace they might have if they choose to deploy it. But right now, that is just such a risky thing to do. They can't really play any more backhands, and so they're not just in their reserves. So this is difficult for them.
And I mean, if we have a look at this this French armored car stack, for example, I don't think those are armored cars, right? They're not gonna do super well against tanks. So these units, they won't have that much of an impact on the battle as well, given the composition of this Russian stack here, which I think is seven medium tanks. I think this one.
Yeah, 6 medium tanks.
Yeah.
Level 1 only, but still. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is. And yeah, here we can see the coordination, right? They're just stopping, making sure everything is in order. The railroad guns have arrived, and the German player has to be careful here. I think these railroad guns are going to be in range shortly, no?
Yeah, they just even took a shot. They have to retreat now. This is going to keep going this way. Now they're going to move into Silesia even here. I just wonder how they're going to defend against that. They even Berlin's being bombed by long-range bombers, Finnish bombers coming in from the north. Berlin's being hit directly. Wow, this is a disaster. They don't have anything really to fall back onto. They don't have production in Prague, no fortresses. The Berlin was the only fortress they really had, the Berlin forts. And with that being taken out, how are they going to defend against this?
Not for long, I would assume, is the answer to that question. And it's kind of striking how you can see disaster unfold this slowly, because you can kind of tell where this is headed, right? And these French tactical bombers stationed around Frankfurt, I'm not sure where they went right now. Those, I think, they're really, really important. I see
They're flying towards Berlin, yeah.
Yeah, because this is the only saving grace this team has right now. If they can't leverage those, I don't see any tools in their toolbox where they can stop this push.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very limiting for them now, having just these limited forces available. And we must also keep in mind the psychological effect in a real normal game. This kind of warfare would take 2 or 3 days to really unfold, and you could see it happening in real time. You can react it slowly, you can sleep over it, you can make little moves, but everything here is happening within seconds. So you got to be very fast. You can't just look away. This is all happening right now. You have to make decisions fast, and they have to be correct. Otherwise, you just lose out immediately.
Oh, and it seems the push is truly beginning now.
Yeah. So the bombardment is happening, and this is landing on these German medium tanks. So they are taking a lot of damage here, and I'm surprised that I'm not seeing any movement yet. I would expect the German player to pull back from this position, but so far he's just taking it. And maybe also to talk about the combat mechanics a little bit here for viewers who might not be quite as familiar with this. So usually when you're not in melee combat, you're not locked down, so you can still move. So in theory, that German medium tank division should be able to move out of range of the bombardment because they're not being locked down. But if that Russian tank stack gets on top of them, they will not be able to move away from their position. And maybe this is also kind of what we're seeing here with these French armored cars rushing in. Maybe they are supposed to lock down the Russian tank stack here. This is definitely like a big part, is making sure that your enemy stays fixed in a position where you can attack them.
Yeah. Now we just also saw another little disaster happen for Germany. There, Leipzig got bombed by the strategic bombers, taking out the airfields. The French planes are now stranded there for now. So they don't have anything really they can do to answer these specific weapons that the other side is bringing in, bombers and railguns. They need something that is equivalent, something that can harm that. And they have nothing really just yet. They have armies that are decent enough, so taking damage. They can stall, they can play defense in depth, they can buy time, but they will eventually just lose out on that. They will run out of territory within a few minutes here if this keeps going like this, and they cannot really do much about that.
Indeed, and I mean, I've said it before, but I'm just it's happening.
They are attacking. They're going in. Okay, Germany, I think, is just trying the last act now of the war. They're sending in their 8th medium tank division. Their other tanks are also coming in. This is not going to go well for them, though. They're already down to half health with just the bombardment. The Ukrainians are pulling back, but I don't think the Germans want this in a close combat. Maybe they do. So with all the tank destroyers, I don't think they win that.
And this is so smart by the Eastern team here, because they are just sharing the workload so efficiently, right? So the Ukrainian players doing the railroad guns, and then the Finnish player is doing all of the small stuff with the armored cars, and he's doing the planes, and the Russian player is just the front line. He's like looking, where are the enemies, which axis of approach do I need to lock down to protect my railroad guns, and then the railroad gun player can 100% focus his time on controlling this one unit stack, and that makes a big difference at these speeds, as we can see here, how much damage they put on the medium tanks before they ever got into melee combat.
Yeah, absolutely. This is impressive to see.
And yeah, this is not going well for the German player.
It was like a last desperate act of defense here, or offense in this case. And yeah, I feel like they know the time is up now. They simply didn't manage to produce anything that was equivalent to what the Eastern Coalition is bringing in. And their communication, as you just said, is really something we should highlight. It's amazing. They're splitting their tasks really well, and this does avoid the issues we've always talked about. You just overlook something, you cannot always manage all your troops. And just giving everyone these specific and individual tasks makes it so much easier to have a good overview and not to just lose out on anything. And I think this is a big part of why they're able to do just so well right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think this speaks to the caliber of player that managed to make it to the final here, considering that they are also able to adapt to these circumstances on such short notice. Obviously, all of these players have played Call of War for a long time, and they're veterans of the game, but still this is quite different. And from the semifinals to the grand finals now in the tournament, in the span of a week, a little over a week, they managed to adapt their strategies, managed to adapt their team play to such a high degree. That's really amazing to me, and just chapeau to these players. I really respect it.
Yeah, that's a really cool performance, and we've not seen the German army being destroyed. The railroad guns came out on top, obviously, as expected. They're also going to sacrifice their light tanks, so all that's surviving is going to be the Berlin garrison and some half-beaten medium tanks retreating over to Leipzig, so it does not look like Germany's going to be able to pull out this one anymore.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we can take a bit of a look at the big picture, because obviously we still have that second front, which is also kind of important, because the Americans are an annoyance.
Oh,
they
Spain. Oh, no. Look at that. Well, that happened.
And then, yeah.
Wow.
And it looks like the African coalition is finally making their push now, right? So they are probing into Spain, and I feel like this might just be the end of our central team here. The France, Spain, Germany coalition. This is just too much pressure.
I was going to say that this is pressure on effectively 3 different sides now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've already lost their capital in France. This was a big hit to production at morale, and Spain now having nothing really in the south that it can answer this. If they do bring over that bigger Algerian stack, then that's going to be a significant force there. And this definitely means they can send help north. Even though they are sending, there's a Spanish armored car in the Alps right now, that's about as much as they can send, and that is not going to really change the course of that over there. So yeah, this could be the end, and now it's just about who gets more territory of the Central Coalition, Africa or the Eastern Coalition.
The gold rush is on, definitely. And yeah, I'm very surprised that Spain was so distracted by the fighting in and around Germany that they weren't able to lock down the Strait of Gibraltar there sufficiently. I'm really surprised by that. Usually you see a ton of submarines operating in that area, just looking for easy pickings on embarking ships, but this was just not on the cards for them because they were just too busy elsewhere. And now Morocco is going to very nicely exploit this situation, going to bring their armies over. But obviously, they are not the only players on this map, and America is still a factor. They are still holding those couple of provinces down south in what was Western Sahara before they captured it. And I feel like Morocco has to be careful not to overextend too much here. They cannot overplay this hand. They can take Spain, I think, but then they need to just, make sure these pesky Americans are not coming back to bite them.
To give the big overview again for those just now joining in, we have 4 coalitions right now. We have Team 117, which of course is our Central European powers. That's France, Spain, Germany, who have since the beginning of the game expanded to control both the UK and Ireland and Spain. We then have the American powers. Yes, just 2 teams there. Just 2 players there in that team, which is the Northern US, which now encompasses Canada, plus the Southern US, and they have since pushed into the Western Sahara. We have the Eastern Coalition, which is Communist Russia, Finland, and Ukraine, who are now being a major pain in Germany's side. And finally, of course, there's the African Coalition, who I still think is a huge wild card here, and that is Morocco, Algeria, and Libya. And if we want to go into the points view here, just to give that overview as well, it seems that things are still very much in the favor of the Eastern Front.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and all of those territories that they have been able to capture here, it's not just that they're expanding into the German territories, but because they were doing this like really complicated pincer attack from multiple sides, they also got a ton of territories down here in the Balkans, and this is why we can see the victory points just ballooning to 420. And I mean, that puts them close to winning almost, right? I think they need, we can see the number 626 points to win. So, oh no, that's the solo, 900 for the team win. So, I mean, they're halfway there, and they're in a super solid position now. They are not losing units taking all of this space. This is the thing, right? Their armies are so big and so well composed currently. They can take all of these fights with minimal losses, make territorial gains, and then they're still ready for an eventual counter push out of Morocco, out of America. They can still deal with those teams, because sometimes what you can see is someone wins the fight against one team, but they lose the war because they just have to expend so many resources. But they're being very methodical, very steady on their progress here so far.
Yeah, very correct. This is just excellent communication, excellent gameplay from their end here. And I really wonder what their plan is then to deal with the African coalition. Also looking now at the fight of Berlin, the last stand of Germany. I have very strong memories about that. I did the same thing. One point. And so being railroad gunned in Berlin is something I can empathize with. Not going to last long though. And so they will take that, and they will take most of Germany here. Yeah, France is also, I don't even know where the French land forces are at this point. I hate to even ask if there's even any at all anymore. But
I feel like they got strategic bombaronied.
Oh yeah, this was really yeah, this was an extreme moment here for the Central Coalition. They got completely wiped out. They even had certain forces available, like the submarines of Spain. There's many in the Mediterranean. They're just not in the right place at the right time, and so weren't able to really stop this.
Yeah, and maybe that central position on the map maybe comes back around to haunt them, because they are the ones in the middle, and they are the most likely one to get ganged up on, simply by virtue of being in the middle of everything. So maybe that is haunting them right now.
And even now we can see the Libyans moving in further into Spain, so they're just getting chewed at both sides. While what I think is really interesting as well is finally we can see the African coalition expanding. I'm wondering if they're going to try to just kind of expand slowly counterclockwise and chew up some of those eastern region of the map.
Yeah, I think if you're playing in Africa here, it's really important that you do open up these fronts, and that you do open up ways to attack, because if you don't capitalize on this right now, you're simply falling behind in terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure, and that will, especially looking at how strong Russia, how strong Finland and Ukraine are right now, that's a big worry for you. You need to be ready for what's coming, and you can only be ready if you're expanding right now. And I'm actually surprised to only see them expanding now. I would have expected them to like a couple of days ago.
Brussels has fallen to the Russians.
Oh, yeah. They're going through fast motorized units, always a really big issue, especially with forced march. They can just move so fast. And I think at this point, France and Germany are essentially giving up. I think they know the end is near. They're sending some armored cars through, but no organized defense anymore at this point. Mm-hmm. Berlin also, I think, has now fallen, yeah. And so this is likely the end of the Central Coalition here.
Yeah, and there's also no shenanigans that they can do. Like, oftentimes when you know you're losing, you can do some funny things. But this was such a comprehensive loss for them on multiple fronts at the same time. They can't even scrape anything together. They can't even say, okay, well, our German player is dead, just send your resources to France and France continues the fight. This is not an option here. Like, this is a barren wasteland for them in terms of units.
I mean, what even do you think they could potentially do? I mean, we see the control in Italy. Maybe there's something they could pull off there, but even then I think that is such a long shot at this point.
Yeah, I don't think you would be winning, but I mean, obviously
maintaining perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's Berlin falling to the Russians.
Mm-hmm. So another capital is gone. Paris is also definitely under siege.
And here they are pushing towards right where we are actually right now in Hamburg.
I hope there are no tanks coming. That would put a swift end to the stream, I guess. But I mean, usually you see people fighting on for a long time in these maps, even if they don't really have a chance to like win the game, simply out of, not necessarily out of spite, but simply because of the fun of it, right? They just like try to deal as much losses to the people they lost to, but there's just no option for this here, and I think this sets the stage for us and for how this game is going to be continue. Because let's be honest here, America is annoying in Africa with the constant invasions, but they are not really going to play a factor. So I think we're right now set up for this big showdown of these two really strong teams that have that are on the northern and the southern side of the map each, and this is going to be really exciting, simply because of the map layout as well. I mean, there's multiple choke points, there's multiple avenues of attack. I think we're going to see loads of just embarked ships just going across the Mediterranean just to harass territories behind enemy lines. There's so many options to play this now after everyone has consolidated their territory. This is going to be really interesting.
It also looks like the tide is entirely turned in the America versus Morocco fight. Their army has been destroyed entirely, there's nothing left, and now we're actually seeing convoys, small convoys at that, but we're seeing convoys of Morocco moving in towards Jacksonville, and Jacksonville has been bombed freely, so we're going to see a counter-invasion coming in here, and I think that's going to succeed. I don't see how they're going to stop that.
It's crazy to see how this entire tug of war is played out, and you know now that we're really heading into the late game, because finally America itself is getting invaded. And I was really hoping to maybe see the Americans try some sort of push into Europe.
And I think this also shows some creativity on part of the Moroccan player here, because these cruisers, which were so vital in the opening stages of the game, they are now finding a use to bombard Jacksonville, right? So what was once a fleet that was purely designed to keep your homeland safe until you were built up and ready to go, now they can actually still use those units. They are not just like dead weight, but they actually have a purpose to harass the American continent and to expand their holdings there. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a bit of a danger just to go in a different direction here. I feel like they need to be careful that they don't really invade this full scale, because this is a distraction, all of America for them. Like the real prize is up north, fighting the Russian team, because I don't think the American team can really influence the map significantly. They're just too far behind. So you need to be careful that you don't invest into the American continent too heavily here, because it doesn't give you anything. Let's be honest.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that Europe's been effectively carved up like a Swiss cheese.
Yeah, at this point, they have to focus on the European theater. They can only send small troops over there just to make sure America stays down, and with the loss of Miami and Jacksonville, not much they can do anymore at this point. But the prize definitely is anything in Central Europe. They have to fight those armies, and right now is the best time because they are going to be slightly exhausted, the Russian armies and the Ukrainian ones. They have taken damage by now, and so you got to focus on that, not allow them to build up. They have so many provinces now, they can just produce so much equipment, so they just got to race for that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like just making a quick push into France, for example, would be really good for the Morocco and Algeria players, because then they can start harassing right away, and they keep the Russia and Ukraine players off balance, and they keep them guessing instead of just letting them establish themselves. But
yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
This is also kind of funny because now we have a couple of the remaining French units. They're just going south, just trying to evacuate, but they're running straight into the Moroccans. This is kind of a rough situation to be in. And yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit about these strategic bombers from Finland, because I feel like they have been kind of the star player of this whole show, because they were the ones that dealt damage into the German-French backline constantly, and it never allowed them to send out reinforcements to where they needed the reinforcements, which made the front collapse at the end of the day. So just insanely well played by the Finland player there.
Yeah, that's so difficult to deal with. You just cannot really see it even coming, and you have to reinforce so many provinces and troops all the time. They have a flight time of 3 to 5 seconds at most, and so just doing anything about them is really difficult. So if you don't have like many air forces on standby patrolling, you're gonna get hurt by that significantly. We saw Berlin getting destroyed by them. That was just the entire defense just gone right there. So yeah, big impact.
And then also maybe to go more into like a general layer of the game here. Obviously, this is another aspect of team play, just to explain a little bit what makes this so extraordinary or what makes this so difficult for the players. You obviously also have to set up the infrastructure for these planes. Planes are not easy to maintain in Call of War. They need their airstrips so they can have a base that they can return to. They have limited range, limited flight time. So when you're doing these pushes, you also need to set up your airstrips. You need to coordinate this as a team, that the airstrips are in place when you need them for your attacks. So this is also one of those things that's just very nicely just done. We're praising them a lot, but it has been a pleasure and to watch this. This has been excellent Call of War. And yes, obviously the game has slowed down a little bit as we are waiting for the territory to be consolidated here. This is going to be a carving up of everything over the next days of the game, where territory is being split up, and we're not going to see as active as much active combat as we just had.
Yeah, everyone's going to take some time to just rebuild now, especially with the casualties, also with upgrades that haven't been done now since troops are moving. Can't just do those in those moments. So I feel like we're going to see the African Coalition and the Eastern Coalition just stand off just a little bit, waiting for each other to get to full strength again.
There was a pizza emergency. We're professionals.
It's not an emergency if it's pizza. Pizza is never an emergency.
Oh, moment.
I'm sorry.
Okay, already.
Maybe.
Did Paris fall while I was gone?
Oh yeah. They got completely carved up, or they're getting carved up right now. It's
like
a tragedy.
Swiss cheese. So here's a question I see someone asking: does anyone have nukes? No.
Not yet.
No nukes, only railway guns.
I actually fatal flaw in my knowledge. I actually don't know which day the nukes become available. We might have to check the research window, but they should be available soon.
Let's take a look now.
Because ideally,
Year 18.
Day 18. Okay.
Day 18, so we're 7 away.
Because ideally, the other factor here that you have to consider is that like strategic bombers are kind of a so-so method of delivering
Day
your
16.
nukes. You definitely want to have the nuclear rockets, which also kind of delays them. So while you won't see nukes as much, rockets are definitely viable, like just the normal rockets. Actually, during the semifinals, we saw a couple of rockets as well, and they did quite a lot of damage to big stacks. So that can be an option, and that is also something that is incredibly hard to spot on the speed, because obviously the rocket goes up and it comes down, and it's just there all of a sudden, and your stack is wiped out.
Oh, they're holding on for dear life in Berlin, aren't they?
But just the leftovers.
The scraps of a once great coalition.
Yeah, it's how did it fall apart so quickly? What happened?
You know what they say? Rome wasn't built in a day, but certainly burned in one.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess it's the wrong unit types, really, in the end, just not having what it needs to counter enemy troops. And I guess that's the only time where you really just need to rely on espionage. If you don't know what's coming, you can't prepare for it. And I think this was also an espionage failure at this point. If you'd have seen the railroad guns, they would have maybe prepared more defense, built more bombers. But they didn't see either the tactical or strategic bombers coming, nor the railguns. So I feel like that was just a defensive failure there.
Yeah. And I feel like this was very influenced from what happened during the semifinals, where during the semifinals, in the matches, the planes were definitely the standout unit, and the planes were the unit that the players focused on the most and had the most impact with. But seemingly, this time around, it's again the railroad guns, just making their way back into the meta here and having their impact. So the meta is shifting here, and the mind games in terms of the unit build paths that were being played, we saw them play out here.
Ooh, interesting. It seems the Libyans have made landfall in America.
It's over for Florida.
As it should be.
So
Yeah, this is going to be the end of the Americans as like a significant fighting force here. They're only going to be able to annoy. I can see rockets coming in eventually if they do survive until then. They could be annoying, just launching stuff from over there, launching attacks.
So here's my question: is we see the African coalition push into Europe. Is the ultimate end game going to be Eastern Coalition versus African Coalition?
yeah.
Likely, yeah.
And yeah, I feel like we don't really see any units down in Egypt. There's no units moving there. There's nothing happening there, and we don't see anything in the Mediterranean. So it feels like they're banking it all on the Spain angle. It feels like they just want to fight for Spain. This is like the only place where I can see them because that's where most of the units are, where most of the stuff is moving. And I feel like this might be a mistake for the African coalition if they just put it all on this one front, because they lack the momentum here to a certain degree, I feel like, of making such a decisive move. But they are the pros, and I am not, so big qualified to that statement. But it feels very risky to just put it all stack all your cards onto this fighting over these few provinces instead of opening up a bigger front, opening up more options for yourself.
Yeah, it does seem very risky, especially because they did invest most of their early game resources into fighting the Americans, which means mostly ships, which they won't be able to use that much against what the Russians are bringing in, especially for land combat. They're not going to be able to use that, and they will have like half the provinces, so production will be significantly limited as well. So they do have to do something. They can't just fight in France and Spain. They will have to get more territory and just try to fight like a little input somewhere. Otherwise, they will struggle here.
Yeah, most definitely. And maybe this also kind of factors into playing in Spain. I mean, there are some options where you could maybe use your ships to bombard a little bit around the choke point of the French-Spain border, maybe Strait of Gibraltar. But then again, if you're thinking about using your ships like that, that also automatically puts you on the defensive, and you don't want to be on the defensive here. You don't really have the time, because that then would allow the other team to consolidate other territories, making progress towards their goal in terms of victory points, where they are already quite far ahead. And yeah, and I feel like Morocco has realized that these ships are not going to have an impact on the upcoming battle in Europe, so they are fully committed to just going up and down the American coastline here, and I don't think they're going to come back to Europe. There's no need for them.
They also have that, so I think they're just going to use them to just keep the Americans small, make sure that they can't really do anything about them anymore. They're just going to build land armies. They're also sending everything they have upwards, so I think they now know that there's no more risk coming in from the west, so they're definitely going to commit to that battle in the Pyrenees and everything. They're definitely going to go for that.
And yeah, so obviously a bit of a lull in the action, but really good because we can take a breather.
Very passive, I must say. We're surprisingly passive of Russia not to like move further through France. I guess I just want to be careful right now. But they're giving some provinces now to the African coalition with that. Like Bordeaux could fall and everything, so I wonder why they're doing that.
Yeah, if we look at the armies fighting in France, it's quite diverse actually. So that Russian stack is sitting in Paris, slowly just trying to clean things up there.
I see Switzerland moving in with a unit of 0.1 strength. So it's like one guy.
Yeah.
They died. Well.
Suddenly there's a couple of Swiss units randomly just making moves. Switzerland just being Switzerland, expanding into France. Just casual stuff. And then maybe to have a look at what's pulling up in Spain here. So yeah, this is a big stack here at Madrid. But it's mostly 42 interceptors. This is actually a lot of anti-air, not a lot of offensive powers.
Yeah. And then that's going to be met with in Bratislava. There's the Finnish Air Force right now stacked. That's some sizable forces here. They're going to have a big clash. Those are more healthy as well, though. So right now the advantage still lies with the Eastern Coalition. Even despite all the fighting, they have preserved their strength really well. They've not lost anything that's significant, only some hit points, so they can recover those quickly and build new troops with all the resources. They're going to be building up just fine. This is going very well for them. A slow pace is even preferable for them, since they can just use that time even better.
Yeah, and they can actually rebuild. I would imagine that they have more resources at their disposal. So for them, reinforcing is going to be a little bit easier here. But now we do see the preamble for conflict starting with a few convoys, a few embarked units just making their way over to the British Isles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this is where the harassment and feeling out your opponent is going to start for these teams, I feel like, where we're just going to see small little skirmishes all over the place. And also, I want to point this out, just going big picture a little bit again here. This is crazy. We are on day 11 of this game. And this is the game state. The absolute state of this game is quite crazy. We are super, super early in this match, and we've already had big moves being made. So the pace overall is quite high, and not just because of the game speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming from Supremacy, if you asked me, I would be like, oh, this is probably day 40 or something. This is like a pretty late game fight here. This is very, very epic, and just day 11. So
yeah,
there's so much more to come. Tech is still just being unlocked. Yeah, wow, this is impressive.
And yeah, I wonder how the players are thinking about it. I really wish I could pick their brains right now. If they think that this plays to their advantage, where they say, okay, well, now we have momentum, we're going to keep on rolling, or if they say, well, the best is yet to come, slow down a bit, we can research, we can build up, we can get all of this cool stuff that we can use at a later point. I wonder how they think about this. If they just want to keep rolling, or if this is a consideration on their mind, how early we actually are into this game, and how much of the research tree still is not unlocked if we take a look here. There's still quite a bit of units that you could unlock and upgrade levels to gain.
Yeah. We haven't even seen like rockets yet or rocket artillery. That's also all been hidden so far. So many types are still to be shown. Types we've seen a lot in the content creator rounds, like rocket artillery, we haven't seen at all. So I wonder how they will change the meta now that they're getting new units and all the production they could ever wish for. They can do whatever they want. So yeah, this is gonna open up very new possibilities.
Would you believe if I said I just had a secondary pizza emergency?
Multiple pizza emergencies.
Yeah, but this time the guy who delivered the pizza apparently got lost on his way getting out.
No.
So he was like, I am new to Hamburg, can you please help?
This is the great pizza crisis of Hamburg. Send help.
The great pizza crisis of 2024. May we have a moment of silence? Oh my god, what happened to Spain?
Well, it got absorbed. and they also, like, France is finally falling.
Good.
Whenever the pizza is delivered, then the Central Coalition just loses out. Like that's, Berlin fell, Madrid fell.
I think they're also going to have a pizza crisis real soon now that they're out of the game. Just some consolidation food.
Is the only bit of Spain left that little bit they're holding in Italy?
In Italy, yeah. This is it.
They have Rome and they have Naples, and I think the Finns are about to take both of those.
Although that armored car is quite unhealthy. 7.1 HP.
Wow.
So Rome
not much left.
Is gonna get defended just for now. Finnish tourists in Rome. Oh no, they got expulsed.
And yet Majorca is... Well, no, I think Majorca's Algerian now, isn't it?
Morocco landed.
I'd love to just show Budapest for a second, where there's like a rocket artillery of Romania, just that sitting there and destroying a Ukrainian motorized infantry. So the AI coming in strong here with the new unit type.
Speaking of the devil, because we
were just talking about those.
Yeah, we pointed at the lack of rocket artillery. There we go. Yeah. The AI is fixing it for us.
So, I'm holding out that the game will at least go long enough that we will see some nukes. We'll see.
I do hope so. If not nukes, rockets, because it's exciting to see them. Nukes would be kind of funny, especially now that we've added the new Fallout recently. I think it's like a month in the game now.
Yes.
By the way, I hope everyone is enjoying the Fallout. I have been enjoying the Fallout a lot, just locking down provinces and making them inaccessible is it suits my playstyle, which is not geared to winning but to being an annoyance. And yeah, they could definitely play a role here. I do feel like the nukes, with how far down in the research tree they are, and with like how expensive and hard to get they are, they've never really left their mark on competitive play. And even with the new mechanics that we have, with the fallout being generated, it hasn't quite made its way into tournament play. At least I haven't seen or heard anything where people say, "Wow, nukes are crazy. We can use them for tournament play." But maybe in the future, or I mean, what better map than right now to test this out, right?
You know, you've said it before, and I'll say it again. One of the best things about playing at this speed is just how fast you can see those planes zip across the map.
Yeah. Speaking of planes, look at Bordeaux. We are seeing the start of the war here, Russia versus Algeria, and the Algerian bombers coming in very clutch here, destroying that entire Russian tank division here. Already lost 11 units and more to come. They got caught here.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we talked about the lack of spies or lack of intelligence that can happen. Maybe fatigue playing a role. This is a tank division that rolled all the way from Warsaw to Bordeaux. So they made the whole trip across Europe. Oh, actually, they survived. The planes have been pulling back
But they lost a lot.
So, but I mean, this is a very destroyed stack. There's not much left of them. But yeah, this might be a good warning blow to our Eastern team here, and the tactical bombers are returning to maybe deal the finishing blow here. That this is not going to be quite as easy as they would hope, and that they need to be careful with how much of the territory here in France they're actually consolidating, because they might not be able to hold on to all of this.
They're making excellent progress though in the Balkans. They're already way past the halfway point in victory points. I wonder when they're going to actually start moving further into Turkey and such, because that could become important. And I feel like they are at war with Turkey, because I think Turkey took provinces of them. So they got to move in there eventually, because Libya is moving carefully but slowly through the area, and they're going to make up a new front line eventually. They're going to meet, and so they will have to send troops there. So I wonder when they're going to start doing that.
Yeah, Turkey definitely took a couple of provinces here, so this is happening. We can see the submarine sitting in the Bosporus. Very very infamous spot to lose your embarked units.
Oh yeah.
And maybe this also gives us a chance to look out east a little bit here in the area of Syria and Egypt, because we do see a little bit of movement from our African coalition coming up here. It's not a lot, but they are going to slowly work their way towards Turkey, and they're slowly going to consolidate provinces here. So eventually this will open up a front line. How much of a role it will play is hard to see right now, though. It feels like it's mostly just gaining provinces to gain provinces and to make sure you have some points on the board for now.
Yeah, indeed. It also seems like the AI is actually quite a significant factor. Turkey has an army sitting there in Homs that is strong enough to deter Libya for now. And unless they stop sending reinforcements to Europe and instead send troops there, they're not going to be able to really do much. So this would be a significant investment at this point. And with the war already kind of starting in southern France, northern Spain, I feel like they can't really make that investment anymore. I think the ship has sailed. So we might just see like a neutral-ish Turkey and Iraq. Nothing really happening there for now, at least. But that's going to depend on where the big railgun stack of Ukraine travels next.
And then just looking back towards the west, it is interesting to see that the African coalition has been repelled out of Florida. So I'm really doubtful, though, if we're going to see any movement from the American players, though, besides capturing those last bits of Canada and, just holding what they have.
Yeah, they're not being allowed to do much at all. The ships along their coastline, they can't even build up those provinces anymore. I think that is just a massive blockade at this point. So they're just going to be just isolated in there, and they can't do much anymore. And for Morocco, it's just using their old scrapyard ships. So not even a big investment on their end. I feel like it's just the end for America.
I have to say, I am a hopeful person, though. So I am on Team America. I am hoping they make the craziest comeback in Call of War history, live for us to see, even if it is unlikely. But you never know. They have their entire own continent to build something potentially great. You never know.
They do. They could still land in Cuba if they want to take me out.
Yeah.
This is we have survived surprisingly long on our small little islands, just watching the world.
Seeing them taking Canada, like I'm wondering what they're are they going to take some real gambit with trying to go into Europe through the north, maybe through the Russian Empire or something?
And
This could be
maybe
interesting.
Norway even.
Yeah. But again, interesting, but I'm not sure if it's a gambit they'd take because it's risky.
I mean, I think it would be a good idea. We were able to see how much Finland coming in from the north shaped the war between with Germany, right? They were able to come in from this entirely new front line angle of attack. So maybe just going to America, making sure you can produce a couple of units and then sending them across the ocean, that's definitely an option. And we can also see that Algeria is slowly taking over the UK here. That's still being
And
led by
Ireland.
the remainders of France being divvied up, and this is an interesting position for them, right? They are on an island. They're somewhat protected now, and they are off to the side. They are on the northern flank of these Russian holdings. That's an interesting angle for them, I think, to play out.
Yeah, interesting that also Russia is allowing that. They do have air power in the area. They could easily just dispose of those forces, but they chose not to. So they probably are trying to just upgrade those and rest those. Interesting decision though that they're allowing this push to happen. This will only annoy them later on. It's not a big threat just yet, but it will become bigger once they build up force up there.
Oh, absolutely. And right now, I think we're seeing the end game beginning to shape up. I'm just curious to see how much of what's left of the Central Coalition can hold on for now.
Yeah, it isn't much anymore at this point. I see one French unit up there, and I think that's about it. Doesn't look like they got any.
In
bigger
fact, if
armies
we
left.
look, they've even fallen behind the Americans now.
Oh god, yeah, the end is near. But what I do like just seeing right now again is just the total lack of big land armies that we've discussed earlier, like how just planes are the meta here and some rare guns as well. We just see massive plane formations, but the land army that's holding France is only just this one heavy tank division, not even that massive anymore. So just planes are just the number one unit you build here.
And they invested into the tanks in the beginning of the game, but we're not seeing any being reinforced, right? Like when these are gone, they're just gonna be gone, and I don't think we're gonna see them again.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe even having some kind of combination of just armored cars and planes is really good in this game. What you never know, right? You have something to conquer, and you have something to destroy.
Yeah, it does look like that. You just exploit those destructions of enemy forces using planes, and then you use fast units just to take provinces, and then you have some garrisons to supply that. Looks like Russia really only built the armor in the first place to deal with the German armor, since they fully went on tanks, and that was their downfall. Had they not done that, had they actually tried to match the Russian production, they would have maybe held out better. But since they went fully in armor, that was then their weakness. They couldn't answer the push with rare guns and bombers. So now we're seeing really the late game strategy for Russia and Ukraine unfold as they are just focusing entirely on these units that have brought them victory before.
And I think that's a good point to wrap it up for now. We're gonna go to another 5-minute break. The game is paused as well. So we're all just gonna take a small little rest. And we'll see you guys after 5 minutes.
Yes, I'll see y'all in 5 minutes.
Don't touch that browser.
And hello, we are back and straight into action. So first off, one thing that we missed while panning around I want to mention is that apparently the Finns and the Algerians really went at it. And they're going to continue to from the sounds of things.
Yeah, looking at this right now, we see bombers flying in already. Action right underway. And it looks like the target this time is Madrid. Oh, I think they were rerouted again. Oh, they didn't want to do it actually. But we're going to see some big Air Force standoffs pretty quickly here.
Yeah, and these are going to be a little bit hard to see. We've mentioned it plenty of times, but the planes are quite fast. We can see them zooming on the map right now. So we try to keep up with the action as much as possible here. These are some Finnish strategic bombers just reinforcing their position closer to the Spanish frontier. And I wonder how quick the teams... So I think they probably took the break to just like quickly talk about their strategy and to talk about their timing here when they want to kick things off. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how quickly they want to pull the trigger here to actually go to all-out conflict. Because there's a lot of territory still down towards Turkey that can be consolidated, that can be turned into a buffer zone or a zone of control. So the focus is going to be interesting. But these air battles, they can kick off at any point in time. And maybe even here, the biggest play is going to be to find the angle to swiftly destroy your opponent's air force in one quick strike, just surprise them with the game speed, just like that, I think. What just happened? Those Finnish strategic bombers did something in Madrid.
Yeah, they did manage to destroy, I think, just one plane of that now airplane convoy in Guadalajara. They destroyed the airfield. Now they retreated again as the fighters are approaching. But they did come out on top of there.
Yeah. And I feel like this is going to be a big part. Like, this is going to take a lot of focus for the players now because this is really difficult to control. And one slip-up could have long-lasting consequences here for your air power.
Yeah, exactly. And we're still seeing this lack of land units. Nothing is really moving that way at all. So Russia is very confident in the ability of their allies and their own air forces to deal the decisive blow here. They're not even focusing on it at all. So yeah, it really seems like we have entirely shifted now to airplane combat, and that's what's going to decide this here.
And then as we are gearing up for that, maybe I can take that as a quick opportunity to give a shout out to all of our organizers that have made this tournament possible, because we heavily relied on community organizers from the DTG, the German tournament community, who helped us out massively by organizing all of this, by coming in super clutch with organizing the communication with the players, the tournament structure, getting everybody onto their maps, sorting out the maps. They've been a massive help with this, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to give them a shout out for super good job. They've made this tournament run exceedingly smoothly, and the fruits of their labor are on display for us here with this super cool speed map right now.
Yeah, really wonderful round, wonderful finals game so far, extremely exciting. This is the highest level of gameplay we could have really hoped for, so we're still just getting started. This is going to be amazing finals. We're still just day 13, this is still very early on. And speaking of early on, we're now seeing already, day 13 already, there's 10 railroad guns on their way to already there in the Caucasus and eastern Ukraine. So they're going to probably focus actually on that front line a bit more now, since we're seeing those stacks move. So maybe the pause has been used to really discuss the strategy here, and they've probably come to the conclusion that it looks like Libya is being encircled also right now by the Turkish army, and so maybe they're using this chance now to move into Turkey themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward for Libya, right, to juggle fighting the AI there, because you kind of don't want to have to do this right now. You want to focus on the bigger picture, but these are important battles you have to take and win efficiently to preserve your strength and to gain territory. So while this is annoying, this has to get done. And we are almost through with capturing the British Isles here. So this is going to be fully in the hands of Algeria. And I feel like this has to be part of like a bigger strategy. This is not just them capturing this for the hell of it. I feel like this is going to be the starting point for harassment into deeper territories. We can.
I mean, already I think we
Yeah.
can see what very least looks like the first bit of scouting
Yeah.
as they try to regroup and maybe even send something up towards the true north of the map.
Yeah, and if you can
Yeah.
send a lot of these runners and you can disrupt the backline of your opponent a lot, so they have to focus on this to defend their provinces, maybe this also opens up the opportunities to land that quick strike with your air force, just a decisive blow really quickly because you can distract your opponent.
And we were talking about I know before the break we were talking about maybe this is something that the Americans would try, but seeing the Algerians push through the British Isles and do it themselves, that I really had not anticipated seeing.
And they're making use of those areas. They're building airplane factories in Manchester, and they're building planes. I honestly do think this is maybe a bit of a waste of resources unless they're going all in there, because that's going to struggle to keep up with whatever Russia can offer. But they are going to use those provinces to their advantage, definitely.
And then, yeah, we can also see Finland is responding. I always really liked it when you can see all of the little movement markers going out at the same time, because you know the players are preparing their stuff and they identified the same things that we are seeing here, obviously with much more limited scope of intelligence. And yeah, the counter invasion is on. So this is almost like
I can't believe the Algerians are even already sending just one
Mali.
little anti-air gun going straight to Berlin. Let's see how that goes.
The confidence, yeah.
Oh,
It's really
and then
there.
just the Finnish fleet is heading towards England.
Yeah, and I feel like this is almost going to be like a proxy war for this, because it's really weird combat, isn't it? Because there aren't these big army stacks that are actually going to meet and decide the outcome of the battle, but this is just single units moving very quickly through provinces, just trying to capture them, and then you play ping pong with the provinces. So this fight for the British Isles is basically a glorified airstrip to control this area of the map. It's this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be quite intense for the players to keep track of.
And speaking of air power, we're seeing a catastrophe unfold for Libya right now. They're being focused by the Finnish bomber fleets, and Tripoli, Benghazi, Sirte, and Derna have been taken out. All their major cities have been just fully destroyed. Nothing left. All buildings almost entirely taken out. So Libya has effectively been just defeated right here economically.
Yeah.
Huge impact here coming from Albania. The Finnish bombers are operating. Oh wow, this is epic.
Wow.
Yeah, and definitely also courtesy of how the map plays out, right? All of your cities are on the northern African coastline, and they are accessible to the bombers, while the Finnish player can sit further back inland a little bit and be protected. And yeah, that's a massive blow actually, because Libya is also the industrial backbone of this African alliance, and they just lost their infrastructure.
Yeah, everything is gone. They cannot produce a single unit for now, and they likely can't ever return to that, since they will not be allowed to produce anything. They won't be allowed to build any buildings. Everything is just in shambles now. And it doesn't look epic at all. From the outside, it seems like their country's intact, but internally, everything is just gone. So this is a massive win for Finland. They don't even have to send in troops or take provinces. They just destroy them from afar. This is like a nuke at this point.
Yeah.
So, wow. Yeah, and the bombers are flying towards Algeria. We're seeing Constantine being focused. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big disaster. But Algeria is, right now, it seems able to at least offer some resistance, and they have shot down 6 of the heavy bombers from Finland, damaging many more. So at least some success here. The city still took a pretty bad hit, but they do at least have a certain defensive air force there.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of an oversight for Libya, right? To not have any kind of anti-air, whether that's interceptors or actually ground-based anti-air units in the area to defend that. Because in the case of Algeria, we can see how much of a difference that made just now to repel that attack.
Yeah. And it also seems like this was enough to cause Finland to retreat their bombers now. They did their task, but this has been successful, even sacrificing like 6 or so bombers. They've taken out effectively one of their allies, of the enemy allies. So yeah, this has been 100% worth it, and they can easily lick those wounds and repair and rebuild. And now they forced the other alliance to also build and invest into anti-air defenses, which is another big cost coming in for them. And Libya has no resources now to build that, so this is going to be difficult for them to keep up here.
And we can see the Eastern team. They are they're really capitalizing on this. If we look towards all the way out east towards Turkey, they are already making moves with their infantry there, and they are pushing down south. So, because I think the silver lining for Libya is that there were no immediate land units on the border that could have capitalized on the blow against the infrastructure. So they have some semblance of time now where they can maybe rebuild, if they have the resources for that. But the land units are coming. The invasion force is coming, so they are on a timer.
The invasion force has indeed arrived in the very unlikely shape of the Great Britain land forces here. They have landed in Tripoli.
They have
I don't know where they came from, but Tripoli has fallen.
What?
This must have been from Malta. They might have been still at war, and the AI just used that one opportunity.
What?
or just
I didn't realize the UK was still. Oh yeah, and they had Malta.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
this was a revolt, I think. Yeah, since they had 60% morale. So wow, there goes their capital.
Yeah, the bombing definitely took its
Wow.
toll there.
But
Wow,
for what it's
that's-
worth, the Algerians have fully taken the entirety of the British Isles.
So yeah,
And they're about to lose them again.
a little bit of revenge for Tripoli, I guess. And how do you even retake this as Libya? There's no units.
Yeah, there's nothing there. This is,
Oh, I
wow.
see. They have an. It looks like they just have a couple of armored cars going that way.
You have to
Yeah.
go all the way.
That is a really big issue now for them. Like they're effectively just out. This is what happened to France, even worse. They lost all their cities here, and yeah, they have nothing they can do now. And their land army is already weak as is. They got defeated pretty much so far in Turkey. They don't have a foothold really there at all. And now the Eastern Coalition is doing the smart move, and they're moving in to Turkey, so they can meet them there. And there's nothing Libya can do.
So yeah, and despite this protected position that the African coalition enjoyed this entire game, being on their own continent, having the sea as a shield, as a barrier, this now kind of this is what we talked about like 2 hours ago, right? Where we said you have a nice protected position, but you cannot sit on it. You have to expand, and their expansion into Spain came too late, and it only came off the back of the Russians, Ukraine, Finland winning in Central Europe. It didn't come off of their own power. They were never able to build any momentum, and then these kind of strikes or mishaps, like in Tripoli, it's devastating for you. And now you have nothing, really nothing you can do to come back from this, to fight back from this. So I feel like for the Libyan player right now, it's kind of a game of slowing everything down and giving his two allies a chance to build up and compete. Because I don't see how you're, as Libya, you're recovering from this.
Yeah, this is pretty final. And also want to quickly apologize to the southern US. Apparently, I've taken Miami by revolution, and I've also taken some troops from there. So I will
Oh no!
apparently, the revolution has struck, and Miami is now mine. So yeah, I will evacuate that. That is the people have chosen, and they chose
Viva
me.
Miami!
So yeah, but no, definitely, Libya is now in a very difficult spot. They will need lots of resources, and I don't see them rebuilding anything right now. Actually, looking at all the cities, I don't see any construction projects. So, will their alliance just abandon them, just use them as a buffer zone? Will they even send resources? They will need a lot. I wonder, because this is really bad now. They lost almost all of their buildings. So, yeah, I don't know how they can come back from this just immediately now.
I feel like you have to use it as a buffer zone, because if you even attempt to rebuild the infrastructure, you're gonna run out of units to fight real soon.
Oh wow, that was a quick change.
Oh yeah, all of these armored cars just spreading out over the British Isles.
Finland has taken over most of Great Britain now. However, what I was not expecting is that perhaps feudally, the Algerians are trying to take bits of Norway.
Yeah,
Probably a bit futile.
it's just this runner game that they're playing up there. But here we can see it again. Finnish armored cars. I feel like the Finnish armored clown car is definitely a thing after this one. It's just
Yeah, definitely so far Finland, I gotta give the MVP to. Like, the little moves they've done, all didn't look so impressive, but were entirely the reason why they've performed as well as they have as a coalition as a whole. They took Paris, they pushed through Munich, they completely destroyed the German front lines, they destroyed Libya now. This has all been extremely important to
there
the
they
war
go.
effort.
And wow, they're even extending forward towards Saint. Interesting. So looking actually at one of those finished armored cars now, it looks like they're gonna officially block off the U.S. as well by taking both Greenland and Newfoundland.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if this is them saying we're making a play for the victory points here, where they say our position on the main continent is really, really stable. Now we gather as many provinces as possible all at once. Then we don't even have to completely wipe out this African coalition. We don't even have to risk taking that fight, but we push one side into Libya, and we take as many provinces as possible in America. And maybe the calculation actually works out for them, and they get to those 930 victory points that they need to finish out the map here.
Already, I mean, I'm thinking the Americans could mount some sort of defense, but already I'm wondering if we're beginning to see the tides really. If they weren't already, they're truly about to turn one way.
It's definitely a breaking point, and at this point, it's on Morocco and Algeria. I mean, we can see them slowly pushing into France. We can see them still having those units in Morocco getting ready to fight, pooling the reinforcements. But they need to make a move into France right now, into Switzerland. They need to get some kind of territory. They need to deal some kind of damage here, so they can stay in this game and they can stay competitive.
I also only just now realized how extensive the damage in Algeria has really been. Algiers and so on have also they've been hit pretty hard, so they are also behind now, even though they didn't lose all, at least they lost like half when it comes to production. So even Algeria is not that big of a factor anymore. It's going to take a while to rebuild. And this was all just for the cost of like 7 heavy bombers. So effectively half of the coalition is now out of the active production warfare. So it really all is shrouded by Morocco right now. Wow, this has been very interesting. I'm surprised that the Eastern Coalition has not tried to now push further, just since they're now still recovering from that shock in the south there.
Yeah.
But I guess they know they can just wait.
Yeah, and I have a feeling they are going to slow push it in from the east. I don't think they're even going to take that gamble to fight through Spain into Africa. I feel like they're just totally fine with being stable in France, keeping a few defensive units there, and then just keeping that African coalition at arm's length and just letting the strategic bombers do all of the heavy lifting for them as it has worked out for them so well. And
I might have to ask for a province quickly, because I feel like the southern US is not happy about the revolution they're invading right now. I might need some assistance here so I can stay in the observer role.
1 second, I can swap you to a different country, yeah?
That'd be amazing. I feel like I'm not happy with my presence there anymore.
I was like, oh, there they go. The Americans just trying to take some more territory, any territory, please.
Gotta do something, yeah.
And then, I had an interesting point about this, but
Were we
I
looking?
forgot.
The
Oh,
Finn.
yeah.
Oh, the Finns are. The Finns are heading to Lisbon.
The
Oh,
Finnish
yeah.
armored car brigade.
The Finnish clown car.
The
You know.
most devastating opponent.
So here's my question: Should we make that a shirt?
Yes, please.
Like all in favor in the chat? You know, who would be down for a Finnish armored clown car T-shirt?
Clown car brigade. Ooh, and yeah, the bombers are
Oh, they're gearing up.
relocating, and I feel like like one of the bigger points I feel like here also is this is map knowledge, right? To know that these African cities, they are all along the Mediterranean coastline, and to just intuitively have this understanding that you can set up your strategic bombers in a way where you can reach them, that you can strike them safely. This is really good. I feel like if these cities had been more south, more inland, this wouldn't have quite been as easy to pull off. But now this was just masterfully executed, or just to even see that opportunity is really good.
The Algerians have officially just been completely and utterly just pushed out of the north. I mean, if we take a look now, the Eastern Coalition is at 630. It's 904 to win, so they're clearly itching towards there, especially seeing as that they have nearly double. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, double the victory points here.
Nearly double the victory points as the second place African Coalition, And then as much as I want to see an American come back, I do not think the Americans are hanging on, but I would not say they're in it to win it still. But who knows? And I still want to believe that they're mounting something, especially as they take Cuba.
Maybe this is where we will see the nuke, the revenge against Tequila Cuba
I'm
for
pleading
revolting
with
You know what?
Miami.
You know what, though? We are only 10 minutes away from day 16. That is when nukes will come into play.
True.
Yeah. And then I'll get nuked. I do have a submarine though somehow. I don't know how that happened, but I do have a submarine that's also coming in now. Yeah, I'm pleading with the Americans to be kept alive, but I feel like the rage is too high.
I did shuffle you over to Denmark, so now you're Greenland effectively now.
Oh.
You went from one of the sunniest places on the planet to one of the coldest.
And it still looks like one of the Finns is coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm both countries actually right now. I can also still control Cuba. That's kind of funny.
Ultimate power.
And the real winner is Cuba. What?
Yeah. That would be a plot twist.
Was?
Just taking home all of the prize gold, all of the prize premium account that we're handing out for this one is just going to Aquila for it being Cuba.
It's Cuba with a steel chair.
The ultimate patience.
From the top rope. But yeah, so bringing it back to our fight here in Europe, there's not really that much happening, right? Like, looks like France is stable. The bombers are still operating in that Spanish area, the Finnish bombers. It just feels inevitable at this point, doesn't it? It's...
I bet
Yeah.
the only place I think we'll see a lot of movement is maybe like, I mean, we're seeing the Ukrainians push through Turkey. I feel like I see some sort of resistance mounting, but I'm not sure how much of one it will be from the Libyans. I mean, maybe they'll try to take some of Turkey. Maybe they'll just try to fortify along Cairo and Alexandria. I say those specifically because though they have Beirut, they aren't exactly built up there.
Not at all.
And then
Yeah, it's difficult for them. They only have a few factories now, and they're not going to really be able to build anything up that's anywhere close to what the Eastern Coalition can offer. And they're making excellent progress there. Turkey is also busy with fighting Libya in the south. And also we're already seeing the air offensive on Madrid unfold. Lots of damage there. The air forces are being bent pretty heavily here. The Algerian one's already halfway down. And they cannot supply them anymore. They don't have any new forces. And the Finnish heavy bombers, they're still there. 28 of those. Now obviously damaged, but they can take that beating, no problem. So, yeah.
Also importantly, this big stack of Algerian air, they were actually packaged
73, holy crap.
and transporting, so they weren't even up in the air to defend against those strategic bombers hovering over Madrid. Only now, I'm surprised that airstrip is actually still up. So
Yeah.
they are somehow maintaining that. It's basically like people coming out with hammers and just like fixing the airstrip while they're being bombed. So that's kind of a big victory here because it allows you to stay in the game with your planes. But how long can you keep this up?
Yeah. It's very interesting also to see that the armies of everyone aren't really growing that much anymore. Like, it's all about maintaining the active strength they have with their bombers, and it's just about keeping the enemy low, destroying their economy when it comes up, and then just using the existing forces to push through there. So they don't even need to invest heavily into new forces. They can just stack resources, be ready for anything happening, and maintain those bombers, and that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Well, and already I think we can see where the game is turning, especially as Finland's letting the UK revolt back into, well, the UK.
And we see another Finnish attack on El Oued in Algeria right now, so that's going to take out another province.
And here there they are.
And also taking Constantine, so they're going to take, this is going to be the end of the Algerian economy. All their planes are in Madrid now. And this just shows again the speed of everything here. You were seeing those bombers in Madrid, around Madrid just a minute ago, and now they're attacking important infrastructure in Algeria itself, and they had to move their planes to Madrid to defend, and now they just couldn't be there in time. There's no way you can really prepare for that. You have to be everywhere all at once, and by the time you see those planes coming in with the server updating, it's already too late. So there goes their economy again.
And yeah, if you lose, it's almost, it feels like if you lose your interceptors, for example, or you lose your anti-air, your ground-based, it's such a massive blow. And there's just not that much around anymore for our African coalition. They just don't have the tools to deal with this. And so they keep getting harassed.
I'm just curious to see, like, are the Americans going to make any moves at all, though? Because even as this happens, you know, they're still making a point of patrolling the Atlantic. Almost. It's like if we lose everything else, at the very least, we still have this.
I feel like, I mean, if you're America here, you could legitimately make an argument to go for second place, right? Where you just you try to hold out as long as possible, and you try to hold on to as many provinces as possible, where you at some point have more victory points than this African coalition, and maybe you can sneak a second place just by hanging on. I mean, I feel like this has to be what they could or should play for right now, which is actually an interesting interesting discussion to have maybe for them.
I'm pleading with Finland right now to not please take Greenland. Since I'm running out of existence.
Oh no!
We might have to move you soon.
I'm just
Like
sending a message
we're also
today.
small that we can move you. Maybe like,
These ones are. Maybe we could put you back into Cuba because there's like still one Cuban island.
Yeah, but I feel like they might. But I'm still technically also acting as Cuba. I feel like if I send messages,
Okay.
then I'm not sure what's happening. I've no idea.
We'll just see. We'll see what happens. It's
Yeah, I'm
exploratory
both
spirit.
countries now.
maybe since they're standing like Norway, maybe, but maybe they're too big.
Mm. And you can also see the Ukrainian push through Turkey just going smoothly. They're bringing their railguns, so they're definitely expecting bigger battles to be fought here. And they won't even need those because it doesn't look like Libya. Oh, they've rebuilt their capital now in Luxor in Egypt. But they don't have any really big land forces here, so this will be a challenge for them to do anything about if Ukraine decides to send any more troops here. And right now there's just 3 victory points for them. And so, yeah, Eastern Coalition playing this extremely cleanly.
And it's that inevitability of it that's so impressive, right? It's just like slow, methodical, and keeping your opponents at arm's length and just telling them, "We're coming for you," and you can only watch. That's the cruel part of it, or the insane part of it. It's just like,
No, while
Absolutely,
all
yeah.
this is happening, I think we already see what the Americans are trying over here. I think they're trying to have their own Finnish clown car. I'm not sure if Southern American clown car has the same vibe to it, but they are sending one back towards Africa. So let's see if they have more luck this time.
it's definitely clown cars all the way down.
If not to win, at the very least to say yes, we made it across Atlantic and got at least something.
What would be really tragic is if that one armored car just runs into Moroccan cruisers again. Just the trauma,
I mean,
just the flashbacks. Coming.
Honestly, I'm rooting for the little American clown car, you know. If not to capture everything, at least like a nice strip of America like across the bottom of the screen.
I do have a submarine here, so you know I could avenge my fallen Cuba land. I think I'll give them that. I shall not intervene in the case. Maybe this car would have been the defining factor of this war, and so I shall not.
Yeah, you never know. We still have 21. We still have 21 days of gameplay potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Much can happen. One armored car.
potentially.
It's not the
can do a
butterfly
lot,
effect.
yeah.
It's the armored car effect.
It's
Though,
also so interesting still, like psychologically, with the you mentioned like earlier, like the demise. Just like you see it happening, you know there's no chance, and you're still holding on. In a normal game of Call of War, this would still take like days to unfold, and now this is all happening within minutes. It's just so stressful to deal with. You just have no time to think.
I feel like in a normal game, or at a normal speed, that is, you would be praying that your opponent is going AFK, and
Yeah.
if something that he's going inactive in this
Exactly.
situation, you would just hang on for
Yeah.
that. But here, it's just
It is a very common thing to happen. Like people just win, and then when the challenge is gone, you just kind of get bored of taking empty provinces. So
Yeah.
then that's like your chance as defender to kind of come back, but not here. This is not going to happen.
yeah, this is
but what if it was clown cars the whole time?
that's I would
Just
like
from
it.
the chat.
I would like it.
I'm just watching it unfold. I mean, Turkey is being carved up like well, like a Thanksgiving turkey. And
In
No comment.
eyes on
No
Barcelona,
comment.
we see Russia moving in. So they could pretend like the land troops are coming in now. Yeah. I don't know if they can do that on their own. They would need air support. If the tactical bombers decide to get involved, that would be nasty. So we might just see a repeat of Bordeaux. But if they do send their bombers, then yeah, that would be Madrid also gone.
And we can maybe have a quick look at the victory points again to just check
yes. So before we go on, look at those. For a reminder for those just hopping in, here's where the coalitions look now. We originally had Germany, France, and Spain. All that's left is 2 little French provinces that are just kind of there. We have the Americans, who are always just 2 to start with, and they've, besides taking Canada and Cuba, remained mostly static for the past, past 10 days almost. So right now we have our 2 largest coalitions, which are the Eastern Bloc, which is Communist Russia, Greater Finland, and Ukraine, and then the North African Bloc, which is Morocco, Algeria, and Libya. So going into the victory points now.
Yeah, so in 3rd place, it's the American team. And then the African coalition is still holding on with 350. And what's interesting is their trend is actually still rising. There's a little green arrow showing up, so they're still capturing provinces. But this is mostly because their territory isn't actually getting pushed, right? So they're capturing AI-controlled territories, but their infrastructure is completely gone. So in the points, we don't even see in how precarious of a situation they are. And then our Eastern team here, Ukraine, Russia, Finland, with 740 points and rising, and this will go up quite quickly now that the push through Turkey is coming in. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if they capture Libya, they should actually meet the threshold of winning the map. So their strategy is playing out perfectly.
And meanwhile, over here, we see the Moroccans trying to, at the very least, keep the Americans out. Yeah. I feel like this will at the very least be a small victory. You know, if the Americans get in, it's like, we got to, like, you know how you see a battle and it's like, yes, we know who's winning, but what's the fight for 2nd place? Yeah. And it's like, either the Americans are going to get that foothold in Africa or the Moroccans are going to block them out. And I think both teams would be happy with the, those respective results.
I feel like this might actually be a legitimate consideration on the part of Morocco here to say, well, let's take care of these pesky Americans, because if they take any more of our victory points, we're actually falling to 3rd place here. This might be a legitimate concern for them at this point. And we start the game with cruises on the West African coast, and we end the game with cruises at the West African coast. I feel like it's quite poetic.
It's almost like oh god, what's the literary term? It's almost circular in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see Northern USA go AFK, because they haven't moved any troops in like a few days at this point. I wonder if this is just the Southern USA fighting here at this current stage. Maybe they're trying to make up for that as well. Who knows? Yeah. Action has been not that much over there. But it looks like the Russian troops are still moving forward. They haven't been met yet by the tactical bombers. I wonder if Morocco is not looking at that right now, actually. I wonder if they're not seeing that because they're looking at the Americans. Yeah, the tanks are coming closer.
That could be. That's the stack going towards Madrid there.
Yeah.
And it's gonna arrive pretty quickly, actually. It's two provinces away.
Yeah, coming in. They're well in air range already. They could have used their planes, but they just chose not to just yet. So I wonder if this is like a moment of fatigue. We've already been live for 3 hours now. This is a stressful round, many things happening at once. So you can't just miss a massive armor stack moving through your country.
I must say I am a little disappointed with Northern USA. I was hoping that this at the very least see some sort of late game push, across the north of the map. At least some sort of attempt into the UK or Scandinavia.
They might have just submitted to fate there.
Yeah.
But I really do hope they're not missing those tanks moving through Spain.
Coming full circle, that's the term.
Now they've reacted, but the question is now, is Russia going to react to the movements of the Moroccan troops? Are they going to meet? I think they would lose that, potentially. They're going to meet in Guadalajara. They're fighting. Okay, so Russia is moving in. They might just sacrifice these troops, looking at it, since they've already done that before.
Yeah. This is... Actually, And the tactical bombers are active now, so this is like really bad for this heavy tank stack.
Yeah, doesn't look like they're gonna survive, but also doesn't look like they're really bringing in any air force just yet. So Russia is just comfortable doing that. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can. And they're retreating again, so I guess they didn't like that anymore.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this is just like a little probing attack to check where you can send your strategic bombers even. Because, I mean, obviously that's what they want to use here to break this.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is like for Russia only like a small fraction of their strength and production capacity, while Algeria and Morocco use their combined full army strength that they have in Spain to repel that. So that's a pretty big difference. Russia doesn't have to care about that. If that is destroyed, it's fine too. And they have so much more in reserve, while this was the entire forces that were used here for the other coalition. So yeah, not a good look right now for them.
And then if we look to split, in Croatia we just saw a fleet, Moroccan fleet there, naval fleet, just wipe out or push back the railroad gun stack of Ukraine there, who are trying to take the city. So there's still like little skirmishes going on, and also like an armored car stack here from Morocco just going through the Balkans. So a little bit of resistance is coming in now from Morocco, and they're actually starting to get a little bit more active than they have been all game, to be honest, in terms of offense.
That's how go back once again with those goddamn armored cars. We're seeing two of them push through Italy from Finland on two sides. Finnish armored clown cars. Am I right, y'all?
You just see that you see the blue movement marker, and you know it's going to be a banger.
I'm already imagining that both those are going to push through and go straight into former capital of Tunisia here.
That would potentially be the greatest strike of them all, right? If you can infiltrate Africa of all places and take the capital.
And meanwhile, we see just over here, just near Dubrovnik and Tirana, it's really shaping up over here.
Yeah, we still have the massive submarine fleets, or in general the massive fleets that the African coalition has. They can use those as an advantage, because the Eastern coalition only has a Ukrainian fleet just waiting in Odessa, has been building up there patiently over the time. They're probably going to spend that eventually, but for now, at least the sea nominally belongs to the African coalition, at least as long as there's not too much plain action here. So even though they do control the sea, areas like northern Libya, close to Crete, are very open. So if they ever were to sneak units through there, I feel like Libya couldn't react to that.
No, absolutely.
Most definitely. And the submarines are an advantage for them at sea, right? But I feel like this is why it's so important for the Ukraine and for Russia to push through Turkey, because they can avoid all of this. There's the land bridge where they don't have to embark at all. They can just walk down through what's the country up there? Geography, it's failing me again. It's
which country again?
North of Turkey, between Turkey and Russia. That's
the Caucasus?
Yeah, the Caucasus. Thank you. I feel like having this opened up is so important for them, because then the one thing you're weak at is your naval power, and that's the one thing that the African coalition is strong at. So avoiding water at all costs is a big one, and they are successfully doing that by invading via Turkey, via the Caucasus.
Yeah, absolutely, very smart move. And also now we are seeing the dominoes slowly fall as forward operating bases of Finland are being used to send heavy bombers into Morocco. Where we're seeing, we're also seeing rocket fighter wings here for the first time, defending against that, or trying to, but damage is significant, and the other capital has been destroyed. So we're now seeing the same fate befall Morocco that already has befallen Libya and Algeria.
And realistically, how much are your 7 rocket fighters going to do against that massive stack of 28 strategic bombers?
The Americans are back. Oh, no. What I'm just hoping for, just for the hell of it.
The one car is moving, and now they can use those bomber strikes, because Morocco has other issues now to deal with than the southern.
This entire game, I don't think there's been a single skirmish between the Americans and the Eastern Bloc. So even if I could see like a singular one.
And it does look like just single-handedly Finland is winning this round now. They're just sending the bombers out to every city they can find, and almost everything is in ruins. really impressive use of planes here.
Oh,
And not even that many. There's
and the
just like a
Finnish
handful
own
of them.
Newfoundland.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's some points for them.
Yeah, that's some points for them. They're right off the coast of the Brits. They've pushed through, and they're pretty much encircling Madrid. Though it looks like the African coalition's still pretty well built up there.
Yeah.
And just what
Pretty
we're
impressive.
seeing here in Morocco, this might be the final battleground in the game, if
Yeah, absolutely.
if all three of them end up here.
And
It
then
might even be the final stand in Madrid, for all we can see here, since the tanks of Russia are moving now through the south of Spain, cutting off the escape routes. Yeah, this is shaping up to be the end of the game pretty soon.
yeah, this is really interesting. This heavy tank stack. I mean, they made it all the way to Madrid. They had a short skirmish in Madrid, just checked out what's going on in Madrid, and now they're just going through the south of Spain to just capture provinces to cut off any reinforcements. And Morocco has nothing they can send against us because all of their power is invested into the air. So we were hyping up the air, but at the end of the day, you need boots on the ground to capture the provinces. And this is where these tanks come in so crucially, and that they survived for such a long time, and that they can be such a problem this comparatively late in the game, or late in this game at least. This is a big boon for the Eastern team.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is still, I believe, the original tank units, at least some of them that originally invaded Germany in the east in the very beginning. And so this just shows how the meta has like shifted here. You're really not producing many units at all anymore. No big army stacks, no massive hand combat fights here with tanks. It's really all just planes destroying infrastructure, and then you send your units through to pick up the slack. That's all that's happening here. Very interesting to watch that.
And I also really like how we saw the evolving of the stacks here, with first seeing a lot of tanks, then seeing a first couple of railguns, and then the strategic bomber fleet was set up and ready to deal. And this truly does seem to be the Exodia comp on this map and this game mode for now, where you can you just have these like long range options without having to go super late game and waiting for rockets, nukes, all of that stuff. You don't even need to wait. You can launch massive destructive power at long range this way.
Shall we take a look at the victory points one more time?
Yeah.
So already 830.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
It's ballooning.
And with, I mean, second place, well down to 290 versus 180 with the Americans. At the very least, you know, I think what we're seeing is the Americans and the African coalition fight for second place. The Americans might be driven out, but I mean, who knows at this point. What I really think is, from the looks of it, is we're finally seeing the push from the Finns into Algeria and Libya.
Yeah.
I really thought they were going to gang up and go to Tunisia, but doing this on two fronts, maybe that's the gambit to make.
But again, we can see that the Finnish Amaka is pathing towards Algiers, so they are aiming again straight for the capital. So for them, this capital rushing, I mean, this is not really capital rushing at this point anymore. This is just conquering, but this is a legitimate strategy on their point. We saw it with Paris, and they definitely know where they need to strike to inflict maximum damage to their opponents.
Yeah.
It's
Very
quite
impressive performance on Finland's end here, I must say. Like, to me, they're the MVP here. They've done the most damage to any nation. And never even gotten that big. Not the UK, obviously, but they've been pretty small for the entire time, and they've just committed so much. And their impact has been so important. I don't think the invasion here will not go so well, considering there's still Navy in the way, but the attempt counts. Yeah, now we're seeing actually the Russians retreating again from Spain, since the tactical bombers have moved out again, and also so has the artillery division. So they're going to live another day. Their presence is still strong. They still have their bombers and their planes here, Morocco and Algeria. So those, as long as they exist, are a factor, and that can still go really wrong for the Eastern Coalition. And I think that's why they're just playing it so carefully, because they don't have to risk it. If they risk it now, that could go badly, and if they just wait a little bit more, everything is shaping up to be in their favor.
Yeah. We haven't had it on camera for a bit, but I mean, they are still steadily pushing out east through the Turkey and through the Caucasus. So this is where they are making their gains, and this is where they are winning the game. So they do not need to do anything special in Spain. And the presence alone of this one heavy tank stack in Spain, it gives them so much information, right? Because you constantly have a unit there that provides you visibility. It lets you know what your opponents are doing, and it's really annoying to get rid of a heavy tank. So you just have this unit with massive HP just sitting there, just annoying everyone, but ultimately it's not there to fight. It's just there to gather information and to warn you if anything bad is about to happen on that front.
I think it's really interesting just looking at this because this has been such a tactical game. There's not been the major, there's been a few major big stacks, but there hasn't been a ton of them. This has been something that, we're seeing the clown cars, we're seeing planes, we're seeing these types of moves being made. And I think that's what's really shaped it. And it's why we're about to go into day 18, and I don't even think we're going to see a single nuke at this point.
No, definitely not. It's there's no need to invest this heavily into something that ultimately would only be used to destroy a Doom stack.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it just so funny always to highlight the meta difference compared to normal rounds with normal speed, and also non-tournament rounds specifically, just the difference in units being built, because we know that there's no way that this kind of strategy would work really that well in a normal round. The speed is what makes this work. And it's just a nice sign of how professional gameplay can evolve in games such as these, because we know from many other games that the difference between professional gameplay and just normal gameplay is drastic. It's a completely different game, and we see the same here. It's played to the maximum efficiency. People are using their units to the best of their ability, and it's just so lovely to see how people are coming up with this.
Yeah, most definitely, and the amount of experience that goes into it is obviously invaluable to these players. They've been playing for years in tournaments as well. Like they haven't just been playing Call of War, right? They've been really spending their time honing their skills in this game for years now, playing against each other, against the best players in the game. So
kudos to this lone American pushing his way across Libya, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Just the cojones on that.
Cool.
They've heard you. They are creating the thin red line down south. They want to see it as well.
Again, I think the fight here is for second because look at this. I mean, the Eastern Alliance has absolutely expanded. I think you're right in saying that. I don't know if they're probably going to keep Madrid in check, but I don't think they're going to really push there. I think that the call is to push through Turkey and maybe even Iraq.
And then we can also see how slow they are if we look at like the Balkans and Italy here. They are not even committing all of these land units to capturing territory in Libya or towards Libya as fast as possible, but they're using this to clean up these Moroccan armored cars that were harassing the backline, that were capturing some territory there. They're just being really slow and careful about this because they know if they just finish this out slowly, they're going to have the victory and nothing can go wrong. Like, there's no reason to rush here, right? Your victory points will grow.
Exactly, yeah. And they keep sending in their heavy bombers. They're just beating this dead corpse of Libya just over and over again, not allowing anything to be built up. This is brutal to watch, but it's extremely effective. So yeah, they're not allowing anything to go wrong here, and they're just doing this so strategically. Lovely to see.
Yeah. And I think we saw one of those airstrips. We had it on camera in like Italy, I think, in Sicily. Yeah, this one like airstrip there. It's there, right? And it's a nice little base where you can put your bombers. And suddenly they have range into all of Africa. And
it even looks like they're planning to do the same thing again in Valletta, which that would officially wipe the UK off the map, yes?
No.
Not the British!
Not the British. The last enclave.
Moment of silence for the UK.
Well, anyways, looking at, however, the fleets of Morocco, I think those are still there, and those can at least potentially protect their victory points in their mainlands if they can. That would be their only path, I think, to having any chance of staying second place here. Question is just where they're going to commit those. They're sitting all near Gibraltar right now. I wonder what their plan now exactly is, since Libya is committing everything to Beirut. So, but now there's a Ukrainian battle group coming in, and that's going to make pretty short work of that. I think that's terrifying to see.
Oh yeah, that's actually a big stack. Wow.
Yeah, that hasn't moved finally, and that's gonna be pretty deadly there in just a second.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they actually invested into this, but maybe they identified this as a weakness that could hamper their maybe even the Air Force's ability, where they say we want to have airstrips on the coastline, so we can reach as far as possible. Maybe this is them saying we're going to clear out the coast, so we can actually just move along the coastline even unhindered. Because I feel like these boats, even though they can only hit the coastline, they have been quite vital in the defense of the African coalition, right? Because they block so many vectors of attack that you could use to, for example, send an armored car to send a runner into enemy provinces, and now you have a stack of 22 battleships, and you're just gonna wipe the floor with them. So
yeah, that's gonna take care of that. And there goes the fleet. And I feel like Libya isn't even really gonna do anything about this. And this is also just the difficulty of like fatigue and being everywhere all at once. You have so many front lines you have to take care of, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're not even seeing this right now happening. That nothing has happened here for
Well,
like
maybe
the last
they are.
days.
I mean, the Libyans are sending those submarines towards that airstrip in where's that, in Palermo?
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah.
looking a little bit, and that airstrip is actually smoking, so I feel like they bombarded it for a bit. So yeah, the ships can be a bit of a factor, but it's
and now they're gonna break out of Beirut. They're gonna go through Turkey.
Yeah.
I guess that was a good move. That should maybe even come already earlier, just to protect those units and not waste the battleships. But I guess this wasn't that big of an investment, so it's fine. And at least it occupied the Ukrainian battle group. But technically, the units are stuck over there now. They can't cross Suez unless the Ukrainians allow them to.
That's interesting. Are those, is how I think is, yes, as northern U.S. movement. So are they planning something?
I'm moving.
They're moving, and then we're seeing movement now coming from the Libyans towards this bit of southern USA. So I'm very curious to see what's coming from that.
Yeah, they're gonna battle it out. I think. I feel like the Eastern Coalition is gonna let those two decide on second place.
Let them fight for second while they focus on getting those last victory points.
Yeah, they're almost there. 860 now.
Oh,
We did have the
Not much
day
left.
change 2 minutes ago, so they need 40 more points. So
Yeah.
I feel like this is within reach during day 18 that they actually get those.
So Athens to take, and what's left still? Split. Oh no, Split is Finland. I was wrong. But Beirut will fall. Amman and Gaza, and there we go. That's already 40 points. And
Yeah.
with Moscow.
well, I don't know. It seems like they're really putting a lot towards Beirut.
Yeah, they definitely identified this as the winning points that they need, which
Yeah.
would also explain this battleship stack coming in to make sure you can capture this without trouble.
Easiest way. Also, Izmir is still not taken. They can take that still. So yeah, they're gonna have no problem taking these points. And there's not much really agency left in the hands of Morocco and such to
No.
stop that.
They have been thoroughly decimated on the production side of things.
Yeah. Like, and Morocco still has some things left, but it's just graceful of Finland to leave them with that. And if they're trying to rebuild at this point.
No
Yeah,
problem,
they know
don't
what's
take my
happening.
provinces.
As compared to what the European coalition, who has been completely wiped off the map. Those two little French provinces were holding out for so long.
They were. Here we go. Beirut has fallen, moving to Damascus now. Amman is still strongly defended, but the battleships, they won't have the range to actually hit that, so this will delay them at least for a little bit until the railguns can get there. But Turkey is being very annoying in the north here. They're taking all the provinces back, and it takes a while for Ukraine to move through. So we're not going to see the end just yet with the Libyan army there. They can bomb all they want. The Libyan army is going to be in Amman, and it's going to stop any advance just for now.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, where it gets a little bit annoying here for Ukraine, because they have quite big and heavy stacks, so they can't move quickly across these provinces and recapture and fight back against these small AI units, because they lack the mobility, so this is why it's taking a bit longer for them.
Yeah, certainly. Bad terrain too.
Yeah. But it's a victory lap for them, right? So,
Yeah.
just hissing the flag, and maybe, just to recap on this was quite an insane round, I think, in terms of what we saw here, because again, this, as you said, this was quite tactical. This was quite measured, and given from where we started, I feel like this is quite an interesting outcome, that basically all of mainland Europe has been brought under control of this Team Eastern coalition, with maybe the exception of Spain, and that they effectively managed to split the map in this way is quite impressive. And considering that we started with them like slowly fighting against German tanks, breaking through there, opening up the map, using those strategic bombers as soon as they became available to destroy the entire like Central European industry, and just snowballing and keeping it rolling from there is just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. The level of communication they had to make all this happen was just the best out of everyone here, and I think that just makes them deserve this win so much. They performed so well, destroying Germany entirely, just pushing through there, losing barely anything at all, and that already put them on the spot to just win this round if they just played it cool, and they just did. And yeah, really good gameplay here, and communication was just key here.
No, I way agree there. Like, just the sheer chaos we've seen at points here, but has been incredible to watch. But I think, especially from the Eastern Coalition, they've really. It seems like it's been a carefully orchestrated chaos at that.
Mm-hmm. Controlled chaos, is that an oxymoron?
An oxymoron, but one that I think makes sense here. You know, if they're the ones who were. It almost comes off that a lot of it was their intent.
They were the chaos.
They were they planned the chaos.
You've merely adopted the chaos that was born. Oh no.
But looking at the game state right now, it seems like we're going to have another day ahead of us because Barcelona was lost and Bordeaux is in trouble as well now with a Moroccan counterattack, and with only Izmir, Athens and Beirut falling, that will not be enough victory points for them just yet. So as long as Mosul and such still stand, this will keep going, at least for now.
It's we're doing a little bit of trolling with province capturing. We love to do it in Call of War. Runners are alive.
Well, I am unsurprised to know Beirut has fallen to the Ukrainians.
Mm-hmm.
And Libya also is evacuating. They're going the long way, I guess, to avoid the battleships. They're going to go through Arabia, which does then open up Amman, so that is lost.
Some bombers overhead as well,
Ooh.
so not quite sure how much damage it's going to deal to them.
Oh yeah. I don't know how strong strategic bombers are against like, units.
Yeah.
Not doing too much just yet. But Ukraine is also just waiting patiently. I guess they don't have enough forces here ready to push. The big army is still in Izmir or has been there. So it will just take a moment. But yeah, they don't have to be hurrying here at all. They have all the time in the world. Might as well just wait for the game to time out, winning by time here. But look, at least Algeria is now defending the capital with planes, so at least they're going to prevent that from being destroyed again. But no, the Finnish bombers are everywhere, and they're gonna make short work of anything that they try to do.
For what it's worth, it seems that they've almost completely driven the Americans out of Africa again.
Yeah, that's been happening a few times here.
I feel like it's cyclical. The Americans come in, they push across, they get pushed out, they regroup, they come back.
I guess it also kind of seals the deal for the second place here, because unless the Americans get another input, they would have to. I don't think with the points missing, there's any chance that they can get second place again, because they're only gonna the Eastern ones are only gonna take like 40-50 points off the African coalition. So that kind of seals the deal there. Unless America can come up with something, they can maybe land in Great Britain. That would be a way they could have dealt with this. But yeah, not anymore, I think.
They're 70 points behind, so that they would have to capture like a lot of stuff really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I really like this here. It's quite cinematic with the strategic bombers, just like where they are coming from and like how far they have to travel from the production centers all the way up in Finland, and they just take this entire route down to the Mediterranean just to be able to operate there. That's quite crazy.
The massive range there. They've definitely destroyed the Libyan army almost entirely. There's one troop left.
Oh.
So wow, that was deadly.
And there's just one city left in Turkey, and I would be surprised if that stays much longer.
Yeah, well, that fell again. Wow, the Turkish troops have been quite annoying for Ukraine here. I feel like at this point there's also just fatigue setting in. It's been a 3.5-hour round now, so just dealing with like individual AI provinces and troops is somewhat annoying when you're trying to play this live. Just difficult to send troops everywhere, garrison everything. That's already difficult in like a normal speed map. I find that quite obnoxious having to deal with an entire front line with AI. So yeah, this is not the nicest task for someone to try to finish out a round like this.
And I like this from chat. Actual Goose chaos in this economy.
In esta economia?
I feel like we found a player from the African coalition because their economy is definitely in shambles. Chaos? We can't afford this. Look at my production facility.
But also the America being pushy? Never. I'm just so surprised because I'm not sure if I've seen them try to do much of anything except this continued African push.
Yeah, they haven't really looked north much, have they now? It's just it's the one thing. But maybe this is, yeah.
I'm like, are they going to try anything? Are they even going to try to take St. John, you know?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Very passive, yeah, indeed. Very much accepting just their position, I guess. But that's, I'm understanding after their big investment in the early game, there was a big chance they had and that failed. I'm assuming that was just their whole game plan. And so seeing that chatter, that can hurt quite badly.
And honestly, that was crazy. I mean, that was crazy because if you look at the starting position, you're like, okay, yeah, well, these guys they're gonna turtle up, and they're gonna produce some units, and then they're gonna try to make an impact while people on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean are quite busy fighting amongst themselves, and they're just gonna try to drop in.
Here's that beginning of the game position, by the way.
Yeah, right. And then, but just like going all out, day 4, day 5, right away, just invasion fleets ended. Very cool stuff. And a gambit that I think was worth it to attempt, even if Morocco was able to ward it off quite skillfully.
Yeah, that was. I want to say Morocco's reaction was really cool. Like they were extremely cool-headed. They stayed very patient. They had their allies' help, and they never overreacted. They certainly could have, and it would have, I guess, also worked. But they were really careful, and I think that was just cool to see, like the level of knowledge people have on the game. Knowing that they're fine, knowing that there's not a problem, this big stack down there, it's just fine. You know, we can ignore it. Doesn't do much damage. That's pretty cool to see.
Definitely. And
also see the end of Libya right now. Their provinces are falling to Algeria by revolt, I believe. So 0% morale is quite low here in their cities. So
Pizza emergency? No. By the way, someone who we've mentioned a few times in chat, but special thanks to Actual Goose, who's actually been like live in the room with us in person, in charge of moderating for us. Just that has been massively, incredibly helpful today. And it's always so nice to have someone in person who can, even though there have been multiple mods in chat, and I see you and I appreciate you all, but really having someone in person to not only help with that, but to help take care of things like the aforementioned pizza emergencies has been very appreciated.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think this was quite a cool experience for us here at Bytro as well. I mean, we're like a small group of 3 people right now in the office. And we're just, having fun on Sunday, just watching some really cool Call of War and just sending it out live to you guys. So I really enjoyed this experience today. And obviously big thanks to Akila who's joining us virtually, but in spirit, you're in the office with us here.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Thank you for the pizza. It was very nice.
Oh yeah, of course.
Appreciate that highly.
Yeah, I'll send you a tiki for it. I would love potentially to do more streams sometime. One thing I want to mention is that this is the 3rd stream we've done here at Bytro, and by far we've had the largest turnout with this one. I'd love to see this become a regular thing, and hopefully even get the and if y'all like this and want to see us do more, just please let us know. Feedback always helps. And of course, the dream on my end is to hopefully get to a point where we can just get a permanent setup in here, and maybe do this on a more regular basis.
More tournament gameplay, more 144.
Yeah,
I've already seen questions on the official Call of War Discord in chat where people are asking, can we have 300x? Which
chaos.
Slow down, okay? I see your point, but slow down. It's dangerous stuff we're talking about here.
Yeah, I feel like the speed is already pretty good as it is.
Oh god, 890. We are in the end game. It might end today.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this looks like 5
Oh,
minutes.
yeah. Hello. Well, what do y'all think?
It's just it's clown cars all the way down. I'm telling you.
Clown car. Finished clown cars all the way down. Oh, it's like Tendrils of Doom.
It's beautiful.
We got to decide now between the MVP unit. Is it the armored car or is it the heavy bomber? I feel like
Armored car.
both have had their merits.
The heart says armored car, but the brain says bomber.
I'm going to vote armored car, but not specifically the finished one, because do you remember that one American one that made it halfway across Africa?
That
I'm
was
like,
definitely nice.
They probably didn't even know that they were fighting the war. They were probably just doing like a desert rally type thing, right? Just trying to skip some sand dunes and do cool shit with the car. But
yeah, you ever see Star Trek Nemesis? No, where for some reason they just have the dune buggy and they have like, oh god, the data clone's head and like the middle. They're just doing that.
yeah, just doing that all throughout the Sahara just for fun. During World War II, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Star Trek was very popular during World War II.
I like that thought.
The armored cars drove so that the bombers could fly. Also, I see Malta is still British, so they just bombed that just for a good measure, and then they
Yeah.
never actually invaded it. So they just hate the British there apparently.
The morale is at 15%. Oof.
Ooh.
That is a bit rough.
I mean, if we wanted.
No, please don't. It's so low already. And yeah, the chaos is unfolding.
Yeah, it looks like
Chaos
with
going on.
Cairo falling soon, Gaza and Amman has fallen. Yeah, I believe this would be enough points.
We need
I mean, if the Finns don't take it by the sea, then it will probably be the Ukrainians by land.
Yeah, and also they're landing now here soon in Libya. So yeah, this will be the end of that. And then we can crown our champions.
Yes. Jamie once again bringing up my biggest trauma, Data's head in the Jeep. No, it wasn't Data. It was his weird, stupid brother. I don't know. Nemesis was a bad movie. Yeah, we need more streams like football, but with Call of War. Yeah, who needs... Just make it like a monthly programming block.
Yeah, just Call of War and Star Trek takes. That's a format. It's a bit rough around the edges, but we can work that out.
I'm sure. Saying it as if we aren't an actual company, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure we can make like a Patreon and stuff for that.
Or maybe just an April's Fool's joke is just having a Star Trek themed Call of War map. Just have some Starship Enterprises instead of battleships and that stuff. That would be interesting. The crossover that no one thought was possible or needed.
Look, I was literally at Hamburg Game Conference, and they were like, the important thing is identifying IPs, and then doing either like finding niche IPs or doing things with big IPs I haven't done before. I was like, got it, Star Trek and World War II.
Yeah, let's go. This is where the ball started rolling. And yeah, so
Original idea, do not steal.
Yeah, please do not steal our ideas that we shared so publicly now. And yeah, these armor cars, I think they're gonna finish us out because they're gonna disembark here, and they're directly in the cities. So that's tons of victory points.
Look at that, all just arriving at once.
Yeah, wow. The coordination is amazing. And there comes the Algerian naval bombers.
Yep.
If you have something to say about that, maybe.
Which is interesting because I wanted to point out that they have these 4 naval bombers, and I wasn't quite sure what they want to do with them because this feels like it's resources that should be going into other planes. So now they get their revenge. This is them saying, "You fool! We had a purpose all along. It's to destroy armored cars disembarking."
Also just one. That's the whole thing they did now, I think, with those. I saw them once in action south of Spain, and that was about it. So they've been useful finally.
I was like, is this the only... Oh, there's something happening in North America, though. What's this? It's someone from the southern U.S. going, okay, they're going... And someone they're going to, at the very least, try. I think this is the closest thing to an American versus Finland battle we're going to see all game.
I also like them sending a submarine up there for good measure, just like in case you need it.
Gotta make sure our convoy is protected.
That's a lovely team play.
Star Trek and World War II. Everyone's grandpa's special interest is the chat. Yeah.
Jesus.
Pretty much.
Now we're seeing the timer ticking low here, 20 seconds left, and with Benghazi falling, Derna falling, all the capitals are just dying out now. The Ukrainians are here in Egypt. I think we can say that the Eastern Coalition Team 17 is going to be our first ever Call of War Speed Royale champions.
Yeah.
Big congratulations to Team 17.
Yeah, there it is. Ooh, okay, it hasn't ticked over yet, but I mean, I just saw that push.
Ooh.
Oh,
Da, 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 da.
do?
Yep, and it happened.
Yep, there it is.
The day is going
Wonderful.
to take over for us. And yeah, big congratulations to Team 17. There's the message, the game has ended.
Mm-hmm.
And Team 17, that was Isaac, Sisu, and WMLO, who were playing in that Eastern team, Ukraine, Finland, Russia, and masterful performance for them. So big shout out to them, to their team play, to their coordination, winning it all here.
Let's take one more look at Europe just before bringing that up again. Just the utter domination and even the final push into Africa was just incredible to see.
Yeah, definitely. And just the level of control of the play definitely makes them worthy winners. And they came through a pool of competitors of 128 teams to get here. They invested a lot of time into this over the last month. So I think seeing this pay off for them is quite cool. And I hope they're feeling quite proud of their achievement here. But let's not forget about the other 4 teams we had on the map. 1823, and I don't have the number for the last team, but big shout out to them for also qualifying. Obviously, huge achievement to even make it here. Team 18 taking that second place by holding on and not letting the Americans take away their ratings. And the top 3 place teams, if I know correctly off the top of my head, are all going to take home gold prizes, a little bit of premium account to reward them for their efforts here in the tournament.
Yeah,
Overall,
really
just
performance by everyone here. I would love to see everyone just again playing it out in new tournaments. All of these teams
just had such good communication and strategies. I would love to see that again. Just a rematch of this exact constellation and with other people as well. I just want to see more of that. This is amazing, and people are going to develop so many nice strategies and plans. This is just very, very cool to watch.
Yeah, most definitely, and hopefully this is something we can do again in the future, because I just enjoyed this. This was really cool, and definitely a unique experience for Call of War. And I think with that we can pretty much wrap it up today.
Yes, I'd say that's pretty much it. Would y'all like to plug where people can find you and what we have in the pipeline?
Yeah, maybe we can start with Aquila, who very gracefully gave us his time today. Maybe you can shout yourself out. Where can people find you?
I'm also streaming right now. You can find me as Aquila. I'm doing regular Supremacy and also Call of War soon again. Gameplays, Let's Plays, tutorials, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm very happy and honored that I was able to be here today. It was very, very short notice, and it was very fun to be able to just agree to that. And so, I had a ton of fun here. Very nice experience to commentate this with you two. And I hope everyone had a good time and was able to learn maybe something here. And I hope we can do this again in the future.
Yeah, definitely make sure to check out Aquila's channel, drop him a couple of follows and subscriptions. He's doing really awesome content for all of our Bytro games, actually, mostly for Supremacy, but also for Call of War. And then again, from my side, just big shout out to DTG, to everyone on the organizer staff there. It would absolutely not have been possible without them. They've invested a lot of time, probably the most time of everyone in this tournament, into making this run, and it's ran incredibly smoothly. So big shout out to everyone there. You know who you are and what you did. We are endlessly gracious for this. And also from my side, just thank you for being here today, for setting up the stream.
Oh, of course. Thank you for co-hosting with me.
Yeah.
Special thanks again to Actual Goose for just being our in-person live head moderator. And then for myself as well, alongside with the work that I do every day as a media and games marketing producer here at Bytro. You can find me online at Jamie Plays Stuff or at Stuff We Play. And I mentioned those because, of course, both as a representative of myself and as a representative of Bytro, I will be at PAX East in Boston next week, and even being given a number of talks. Again, look out for me in particular Friday evening, Saturday evening, and Sunday morning. If you want to see the PAX East schedule, then here, I'll post that from the Bytro account here, probably the last thing from that for tonight, in the chat now.
All right.
So, any final things before we end off? Any final comments from the chat? I mean, this is Wow, we've been going for nearly 4 hours now.
4 hours of and action-packed gameplay too. The players will be quite tired.
GG
I'm
indeed,
feeling tired
chat.
just walking. Yeah, GG's in chat, please, to everyone. And yeah, just thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope everyone had a great time. And yeah, again, hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, should I bring it home?
Yeah.
So on that note, thank you all very much for watching. Stay classy. And with luck, please let us know if you'd like to see more of this. We'll see you next time. We're at PAX. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.